Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. I am your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trill, Rant God, Thanos, all of the above on that ISAT test and that ACT. You know what it is. And we are here, ladies and gentlemen, for the 11th rant of Big Brother Canada 7, entitled Luck and Loyalty. In this episode, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to break down why not only was this a beta male, a beta female, a beta non-binary move by the non-binary blindsider themselves, but I am also going to share with all of you, with feeds to back up my claims, as to why we can't just blame Kyra specifically for this terrible non-play of a move. We have to blame everyone involved, from Dane to Esty to production, to Adam, to Sam. Everyone during this rant tonight is going to get the proverbial smoke. And I will use each of them to explain why this season is losing its legs faster than any season I can remember. I mean, in Big Brother Canada history, usually the jury phase is when the game begins to change, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe that's why they decided. And if you guys didn't see the behind the scenes footage to know what, oh no, I know. Y'all already know what HOH comp it is because we just saw the end of tonight's episode. It is an endurance comp. Very, it reminds me a lot of the competition from Big Brother All-Stars in which Danielle Reyes won the hanging from the upside down rope competition. That was when she was like, I'm the Black Widow. And it was kind of like the spider's web, if you will. This is what this competition reminds me of a lot. It also reminds me of other competitions where we've seen in the past where like they've been holding on to logs, but like their stomach was holding on to it and their like face was in another person's ass. Like I remember that happened specifically. I think in what was that? BB16 maybe BB19. It was the season with Glenn. I think it was the season with Glenn. Yeah. That was the season with Tiffany's sister. No. Well, y'all know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, let's get into Big Brother Canada, ladies and gentlemen, because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I am fully pissed right now. I avoided all spoilers today. I ducked and dodged them like Neo from the Matrix, thinking, you know what? Even if she lets me down, I want to be fully angry in the moment when I do this rant, ladies and gentlemen. So tonight, you're going to get tons of logic from Thanos, but you're also going to get some of the freestyle that you all prefer. Because at the end of the day, let's really break this down, ladies and gentlemen. Production's been feeding us a lot of bullshit filler in this edit. Not just tonight, but Wednesdays as well. And since I skip Wednesdays for my rants and I watch Wednesday's episode and Thursday's episodes on the same day in most times, you know, for me to see an unprecedented feature of Big Brother Canada, for them to leave a Wednesday night episode on a cliffhanger and then set us up for this anticlimactic bullshit. This is the second Thursday in a row where we got some anticlimactic bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't good. And in tonight's rant, I'm going to break down how every single twist of this season has done nothing but benefited the Majority Alliance. The same Majority Alliance that has been spoken upon, or at least has been given hints to through pregame interviews since the beginning of time. We saw this alliance coming from the longest, and I kept driving the point home. When are we going to get somebody that wants to admit, like, yeah, we all want to be in the big Majority Alliance at the beginning, but who's going to be that person to say, my plan is to stop that Majority Alliance? We didn't get that. And that's why this season is so bad, because no one ever planned for them not to be in the Majority Alliance. So all we have is a whole bunch of people trying out. You know, this is like fucking Bring It On or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Whole bunch of people trying out in front of people that can't stand them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the hell is this shit, coach? What is this? The Kirsten Dunst of Big Brother Canada seasons? Like no real talent whatsoever? I'm just being honest. But I'm just saying. Let me stop. Dave, you got enough enemies. Let's calm down. No, but y'all get what I'm saying here, though. At the end of the day, they finally give Anthony a bit of credit. But the edit that they've been giving us this week, you know, it's crazy. Mark is on the block, but he has less visibility than anyone in the game. You know, and see, here's my problem, big brother. You can't, on Wednesday's episode, go out of your way to show Kyra talk about how a guy must leave by all means before the veto competition is played. You can't keep driving that point home. Then on Thursday, they don't use the shit. You know, you can't constantly keep driving home all of the problems Kyra sees with the men's alliance, all of the reasons Kyra sees for why this is the time to use the twist, why this is the time to make themselves a legend, and then they don't do it. You know, in a lot of ways, you could pretty much chalk off Kyra to doing the same shit Chelsea did the week before. And it's crazy. It is crazy. You know, Chelsea, in her case, she wanted to do a house meeting in order to expose the men's alliance. All right. Now, in this case, you have a veto everyone agreed that you can have. Check. Okay. On top of that, you know a guy must go. Check. On top of that, this is the last week before jury starts, meaning whatever blood you do get on your hands, whoever you send home has no chance of battling back. Check. On top of that, Mark is the one person in this game who has said your name more than Kiki has. Check. But the entire narrative of this week became, oh, but Mark is alone, though. And for Kyra and all of these other players like Sam to buy that excuse when they know of the four men working together is, once again, it goes back to my argument of why no one wanted to oppose the majority alliance, because everyone just wants to try out to be part of it. Look, I'll be on the bottom at any moment. And see, it's crazy because I was catching up on Survivor early today, too. And kudos to Edge of Extinction, because that season's turning out to be really good. And it's because people ain't scared of the returnees. You can get your ass popped off. And at the same time, the returnees, they know how to clap back too because they got some experience. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is in the Survivor Edge of Extinction season, you see a whole bunch of players seeing their win conditions, forcing flips really quick, pivoting quickly. They're not waiting for someone to do the pivot for them so they can jump on their back. That person gets targeted before them, and then they can eat off of what this person built. You know what I'm saying? Like in Big Brother, especially in this season, everyone is so fucking scared. And the game is clearly split into like different groups. So, of course, you got the Adam, you got the Kyra and the Sam over here, right? Then you got the Corey and Anthony perceived group. But see, the problem, which we'll get into today is, on today's rant, Kiki threw Damien under the bus and told people she would nominate Damien and Kyra. Because she made that terrible mistake, she lost some trust with Damien, okay? So now Damien is basically Anthony's number with Corey, who Damien was already closer to than Kiki. I've been telling people Corey and Damien are closer than all these people. And now that Corey can bring Damien in on her working with Anthony, it's the best of both worlds for Corey, because now Corey gets the same scenario Anthony would have wanted in theory if he would have went to the final three with Corey and Corey and Dane. See, Anthony thought if I go to the final three with Corey and Dane, each of them take me to final two. Well, in this scenario, Damien takes Corey, Anthony takes Corey. I don't think anyone well, and see, that's the thing, though. There's a chance if Corey won, she would take Anthony over Damien because Damien is just too loved. There's a chance for that. But my point is, at the end of the day, Corey is still going to go no matter what. And see, that's the best game players, the ones that can get to the final three and know that they're in the final two, even if they choke the competition, right? Those are the better players. My problem with Kyra is, I don't understand her game because I took notes up until today that I thought would make sense and be congruent with her using the twist to give her credit for being this most improved player. But then she goes and she takes all that progress that she built upon all week and she backtracks all of it to be a fucking coward. And see, me as someone who's truly an analyst of the game that likes to break down the strategy and try to break down the motivations for why someone would do such a thing, you know, when I get into explaining these feeds, it's not going to make any sense once we get to what we saw tonight. It's not going to make, so this is me giving y'all a disclaimer. This isn't going to make a lot of sense. It's going to make sense because I'm going to explain how a lot of people contributed to why Kyra did not save Kiki, but it's not going to make sense from Kyra's sole perspective. Because when I get to explaining this, it's just going to sound like Kyra is simply playing Anthony's game, which is the truth. But at the end of the day, did the edit really convey that to us this week at all? No. In fact, they tried to make Kyra very likable. They tried to give them certain scenes to make them endeared, like to make more people want to be like them or to aspire to be like them before the scenario came up with the twist. They were setting it up for Kyra to be someone with big ovaries, big balls. They were setting it up for Kyra to be this person that stood up and did this move and became an instant legend. And she straight up just folded under the pressure. I mean, she folded like origami, coach. There's no way around this, ladies and gentlemen. If Kaylin is in that position, she does it. If Mackie is in that position, he does it. If Laura's in that position, she does it. Hell, if Chelsea is in that position, I even think she does it, knowing what she knows now. But I mean, that's easy to say because she's out the fucking game, Dave. But y'all get what I'm saying here. I think Chelsea would have looked at that as much more of an advantageous position than hosting a house meeting and dealing with a whole bunch of variables and not knowing how people are going to come at you at said house meeting. You feel what I'm saying? Like, these are two different things. So at the end of the day, for this twist to only last 1 week, see, I can understand if this lasts more than 1 week. Then we wouldn't have a problem with you, Kyra. We can't complain because you're looking out for your game. But for you not to use it at all, to basically give the men the entire majority going into jury, is just stupid. You're relying on them to eat each other. But at what point do you expect them to start eating each other if you don't make them eat each other right now? And I'm hearing all the arguments. Oh, well, at the end of the day, Kiki is perceived to be Dane's number, Dave. So at the end of the day, it makes sense for Anthony to want Kiki gone because then that weakens Dane. It makes sense for Adam to want Kiki gone. That weakens Dane. But see, here's my problem. Why are all these players trying to weaken each other, but then they're so loyal to each other? That's habitually line stepping too. How are you this loyal to a guy that you're trying to weaken for the moment to attack him? In my opinion, that's a fake friend. That's someone waiting for the drop, if you get where I'm coming from. So why aren't these men trying to jump at the bait to get rid of somebody quicker? See, that's my problem. Everyone is just waiting. They're just waiting. And see, when you got a whole bunch of players that are just perfectly content with just waiting, that makes all of us super fans not want to feel like we have to tune in the feeds tonight. That makes us go, let's wait for someone to summarize it. We'll wait for Dave's rant. We stopped watching the episodes a long time ago. Hey, I appreciate your view. Don't get me wrong, but I would love for you to be passionate about the season to come to my rant and watch it more than once, possibly, right? So the product is affecting my rants too, because at the end of the day, I can't make shit look polished. You see what I'm saying? I can't make shit look good. At the end of the day, this season is looking bad, bruh. It's looking bad, okay? But that's a cold opening, ladies and gentlemen, because man, I'm pissed right now, but I'm trying to keep it together. That way, when I provide context to back up my entire perspective, all of you can agree with me that, yeah, this was a soft move by Kyra, but a lot of people contributed to making this a soft move. And please believe, that speech tonight where Kiki threw Dane under the bus, I don't think that was some type of a double bluff her and Dane worked on to make sure Kyra saved Kiki so she could flip back to work with Dane. I 100% believe that was Kiki legit turning on Dane in the moment, because to let the curtain back for a second, before excuse me, before feeds cut tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I clearly saw Dane. Okay, so let me paint the picture for y'all, because this told me everything I needed to know, right? Because I've been the one pounding the table on the fact that Esty is ruining Kiki's game by trusting Dane too much. And then there's people trying to convince me, well, Dave, Dane is clearly protecting Kiki and Esty. I mean, you should see the way he protects them around the boys, but he's also telling the boys he's PB through and through, though, at the same time. So he's not really protecting them. He's just withholding certain information so they aren't first priority to get out. But the minute it came between Mark and Kiki, Dane never really considered the idea of keeping Kiki. He was always okay with keeping Mark over Kiki, to the point where he was okay with Corey being backdoored. And that's what made Anthony become skeptical of Dane. Okay, and see, that's another problem I got with production. Why didn't we see any of Corey being a backdoor option this week? Why didn't we see nothing of that? Because if we would have saw something of that, it would have provided more context as to why Mark needed Anthony to cover his ass all week, to give some context to that scene we saw of Mark telling Anthony he's a legend. You feel me? So by not providing this context, you're not giving Anthony his due credit either for the masterful game he's playing to allow all these other players to play so stupid. You see what I'm saying? So they're not telling the story the way they should be. The twists are flopping. The players are cowards. I mean, at the end of the day, from a 360-degree perspective, we have no choice but to root for the PBs because they're the only sufficient good game players in the game. But no one wants to root for the team that's been in the lead the whole fucking game. That goes against what it is to be a super fan. And that's where the crossroads we are at right now, ladies and gentlemen, heading into the jury phase. People are almost indifferent towards these players now. We've been rooting against the PBs for so long. We can't just root for them now and just be a defeatist, right? At the same time, we're so damn, what's the word I'm looking for? Punch drunk out of rooting for this other side who makes the foul Tay look like Chilltown. Let's just be honest here. I mean, damn. I mean, this is some of the dumbest shit. But at the end of the day, I mean, damn, this is some of the dumbest shit. But y'all get where I'm coming from, though. You feel me? It's so hard to pick someone new to like when every single person you like seems to go next. It makes you almost want to reverse psychologically root for someone you don't like to hope they go. You feel it, dig me? And see, that's not the way you want to watch a season of Big Brother. You want to be fearless and rooting for who you want to. But ladies and gentlemen, we can get into these feeds. We can get into discussing Wednesday's episode, Thursday's episode. At the end of this, I will be answering questions. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are as pissed as I am. But I think all of you deserved a vintage opening freestyle part of this rant. I went for almost, 15, 16 minutes, some odd. I mean, y'all deserve that much because there's a lot more stuff to talk about. And y'all know me. I'm going to get into the details to back up why I feel the way I do. But please believe this ain't just on Kyra, coach. You know, people would love for us to believe this is just Kyra. But I wanted y'all to pay very close attention to something. Did y'all notice the moment that Kyra got called to that, the moment that Kyra got called into that room right after the veto ceremony happened, did y'all notice when Kyra came out of there, how quickly Esty jumped on her and wrapped her legs around her in that kitchen? Didn't that remind all of y'all of the same moment when Sam did the same shit with Adam after that week 2 veto competition? When Adam knew that Dane would probably backdoor Sam, and that's why he fought so hard to keep her safe and keep Noms the same. Remember that? So for Sam to be the one to blow that out of proportion and be so angry about it, I found it to be very hypocritical. But at the end of the day, this is Big Brother. People reach for shit, especially if you're a person of color. I mean, shit, I found out earlier today, Eddie became a target just because he put sugar in the eggs. And I'm like, wow. You know, and shout outs to the Plate Possum Phenom, gone too soon. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get it popping, all right? Let's get it popping. Let's break down some of the things I saw Wednesday's episode. We're going to get into feeds, get into Thursday's episode, get into questions. Let's get it popping. All right. Now, what I found most interesting, and by the way, shout outs to them mighty mods, coach. I can't forget about y'all. All right. Now, what I found most interesting about this episode is how angry Dane was with Adam for wanting to save one of Dane's numbers. Does that make any sense? No, it didn't to me. But see, I'm glad production showed this scene, though, because it solidifies my argument that Dane never had Kiki's back or Esty's back to the casual audience. It should also keep the same casual audience from feeling bad for Dane if the blood veto hurts him because he wouldn't sacrifice Mark. If I didn't know any better, I'd say Wednesday's episode was edited to prepare people for a possible Dane blindside. Now, of course, all of these notes are how I thought at the moment. So I'm only going to say that once tonight, but y'all get where I'm coming from. Now, let's continue. Even Kyra's confessionals were a bit too anti-men. Did y'all notice that? I mean, they specifically put in a scene of Kyra going out of her way to say the non-males need to win this game. The non-males need to stay in this game. So once again, this is them forcing scenes in the edit to make all of us want to tune in tonight. That's what the whole cliffhanger was about. Let's make sure we get a whole bunch of ratings for tonight for the episode. And then it's that much of a letdown. You know, honestly, I feel like production had to have had some type of a tip-off to Kyra not doing this shit, to know that ahead of time she wasn't going to do this. I feel like the way they set all the fans up with that cliffhanger and all that shit, knowing what Kyra probably wasn't going to do. And see, eventually by Thursday, by Wednesday night, basically, Kyra was talking like someone who was really ready for Kiki to go. Hell, a conversation during tonight's episode, they did a good job of keeping out all of the parts that would have made Kyra look bad, by the way. Because it got to a point, because see, you guys noticed how Kiki had an injured ankle, right? We still don't know how that ankle got injured. You know, people were like speculating maybe it was a have-not competition going wrong. We don't know. We didn't see it in the edit. So for all we know, we don't even know why she had to be carried up them steps. We just know that she got hurt literally a day after getting a bed. You know, it just looked weird. Well, anyway, so like I'm saying, so Kiki is hurt, meaning now she has to almost have meetings, individual meetings in the have-not room like she's the fucking HOH right before Noms, right? So all of these people are coming in one after the other, and she gets into this conversation with Kyra, and the thing that's so crazy is Kyra was talking to her like she didn't give no fuck. And that was the moment when I knew, yeah, something ain't right here. You know, like, watching this morning's edit, you could tell that the blood veto was in play. But at the same time, watching feeds last night let me know that if she had to use it, she would have took off Mark, probably replaced him with Esty, and that would have been even worse. Because I think at the end of the day, I think Esty probably would have got eliminated over Kiki just because Kiki had a hobbled leg. I think the people that play in this season, I think they a little crazy, man. Plus, after Kiki just admitted that she's against Dane, if that would have happened, yeah, it would have made a lot of sense. But once again, this didn't have to do with taking someone off, putting someone on, so it's a non sequitur. But let's continue. And with Dane by far getting so much TV time to bash Adam, it's almost like the edit wants the fans of Kyra and Sam to dislike Dane for wanting Mark to stay over Kiki so visibly. Truthfully, Anthony deserves just as much time as Dane in this edit, but seeing as Kyra would never use the blood veto on backdooring Anthony, it makes sense Anthony wouldn't get much TV time during the episode where the blood veto is fully explained. Now, at this time, when I was watching the Wednesday episode, I thought they was going to explain it in that episode. That was before I saw the damn cliffhanger that pissed me off. So let's continue. It's also good Anthony got credit for Adam not using the veto as well, because I think that is a key that is a key thing that we need to give Anthony credit for. He is the one who kept Adam from keeping his promise to Kiki. Adam straight up broke that promise. And he relied on the same stuff Anthony was feeding him. And you even saw it on yesterday's episode. Sam even said, "You're sounding like Anthony." And that's what I mentioned in the last rant, right? So let's continue. But pay close attention to the veto scene where Kiki told Sam her words are the worst. I peaked game on this scene, ladies and gentlemen, because it was very telling, but not because of Sam's reaction. So let me explain. Okay. She said this because Sam was commentating on the comp, and it was clearly a distractive measure. But I'm not even focused on Sam's reaction. I'm focused on Corey's. Corey had a look of disgust on her face. And this explains a lot because around this time on Saturday, feeds, Corey was the backdoor option. So I'm thinking she caught wind of this before the veto comp and was rooting against Kiki to win veto, thus rooting for the veto to never be used. Thus, she was sitting next to Sam, who was rooting for Adam. So things are starting to make a lot more sense to me as I'm watching the edit, even though production ain't showing why it should make sense. But that's my job, I guess. So let's continue. I don't get why they forced Dane in that scene with Kiki's bed. If anything, they should have showed her an Esty talk game on the bed before showing Dane, the guy who wants her out, telling her Canada loves her. But see, this once again makes me think production is putting more Dane in these episodes just in case Kyra makes a decision with the blood veto to get him out. Dane is getting more visibility than Mark this week, and Mark is on the damn block. As Feed suggested, production calls Kyra to the diary room right after the veto ceremony, but all we get is a to be continued. Everything I discuss in this Feeds portion coming up is designed to explain what happened after Kyra left the DR and people started to speculate what her power could be. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into Monday's Feeds. We're going to get into a fastball period here, but I am going to take time to dissect certain points, but let's continue. Feeds were down in the afternoon, and many superfans didn't know why. Turns out Kiki won a fan vote to get a massage bed installed into the have-not room exclusively for her. What's so funny about this is her winning that fan vote may have saved her in the game because now everyone perceives her as someone Canada wants to make jury. And with the rumor going around about the young bloods yelling at the cams that they wanted Sam and Adam gone, it has to tell Adam that Canada doesn't like him that much either. And see, here's something I also wanted to bring up that I failed to mention in the last rant. Kiki and Esty did say that, but no one was around them to see them say that. So if Kyra was the one who spread this rumor, I can only connect two dots together and say, maybe production tipped Kyra off to that to justify Adam not using the veto on Kiki, which then in turn would have justified Kyra not using the blood veto to save Kiki. I mean, that one little rumor really ruined all of Kiki's campaigning this week. And we're going to get into more stuff. But yeah, that one rumor really ruined her. And see, there's no one who's really jumping on this rumor to say I was there to see it. So it's not based off any facts, right? But at the same time, though, it's just enough doubt that you can put in the atmosphere to make someone not want to vote for you. And truth be told, Corey really wanted Mark gone. But the minute that she started to know that Dane and some of Dane's numbers were okay with Corey being sent out through backdoor, that lost her that vote. And then when Damian found out through Anthony, you feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Kiki just kept losing votes and votes and votes. And I'd argue Esty already ruined her game from the start anyway. She could never get 4 votes out of this week as long as a guy was on the block next to her. Now, let's continue. Now, it's so ironic because all of a sudden, now that Kiki won that vote, Esty is clinging to her, acting like she's on the block next to Dane. She will choose Kiki over him. But why did it take for Kiki to get a bed in the have-not room for Esty to choose the better side? I peeped that, by the way. Because up until this bed came, let's be real here, it was Dane first priority, Kiki second. Well, let's be honest. I think it's because even Esty knows she has been very disloyal lately, so now she's trying to stay close to Kiki to clout chase off of her own likability with Canada. A lot of people in the live chat that was watching this on BMX felt the same way, Coach. It felt like some clout chasing shit. It really did. Oh, you got a bed because Canada loves you? Well, I'm your best friend. Can we act like we best friends again? Even though the past 5 days I've done my due diligence to make sure you are always a target in front of me, but I'm going to act like I'm going to cry over you in 3 days. You feel what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Esty was on some bullshit, okay? I'm just saying. And see, I'm glad Esty is starting to see the light with Dane because of Dane's own stupid behavior, which we'll get into a little bit later even further. But at the end of the day, it's too little too late, Esty. It's too little too late. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I'm peeping game here on Esty. Esty ain't even talking that hot chick about protecting Dane no more. That confirms my suspicions are true right here. Well, anyway, while this happened, apparently Kyra was brought into a room, which I'm assuming was Leon's lounge, but we found out it was the DR. And now the entire house believes the blood veto expires this week, and Kyra will be taking someone off between Mark and Kiki. Kiki speaks to Mark first, and both are optimistic because this week everyone will have to campaign to Kyra in fear of them throwing somebody up at the last second. This is great for Kiki because Kiki is viewed as a number for Dane, but Sam and Kyra both are smart enough to know Kiki is nowhere near a threat as Dane is. So it makes the most sense for Kyra to knock out Dane before jury starts. Seeing the happiness and passion in Kiki's face is exactly why I didn't believe she deserved to be on the block in the first place. This blood veto would have been a massive failure if they didn't force Kyra to use it this week, but it ended up being a failure anyway. That's the real failure in all of this, but I'm happy they are emphasizing the blood and blood veto by making her use it this week, though. The Youngbloods discuss how the best case scenario for them is for Adam to go up, but Adam won the veto already. So they have a feeling Adam will be off limits because that would ruin the need for the veto comp's existence if that veto could be negated by another. So it's safe to say Adam won't go up. And even if he could, Kyra would be ruining her own bond with Sam to put him up. Dane is the play that makes the most sense, and it's the play that guarantees a PB goes home. If Kyra makes this move, they have a legit case to win the game because they are responsible for changing the game. Imagine if Dane did all of this not to make the jury. Okay, so at this point, ladies and gentlemen, on Monday, everyone was so optimistic about this season. And see, this reminds me a lot of last week when we were so optimistic about that house meeting. You feel what I'm saying? It seems like something happens right after Sunday that gets us excited for change, and then we don't get it. And then wash, rinse, repeat over and over again. We constantly get circle jerked. That's the story of the season, man. We get no payoff. You feel me? We get no payoff. We see no flips. We just see the same people coast. Now, let's continue. But peep game on Kiki admitting to liking Damien, but not really because he's taken. This backs up why I've been saying Mark doesn't like Damien. It's so obvious they have chemistry, more chemistry than Esty and Dane, in my opinion. I still believe Esty had better chemistry with Anthony, though. But it's best for Anthony's game that he isn't working with Testy Esty. Kiki further separates herself from Esty as an elite player by mentioning how Kyra remembered seeing them whisper, they got to get the showmances out while doing akimbo hand signals. All right, that's what they were doing. All right, but notice what I noticed immediately. The Youngbloods whispered this, but it's being retold by the men that they yelled it. This is an important detail to mention because depending on how you tell this story, by saying they just said it may not be as believable if you say they shouted it. It changes the conversation entirely. Now the person you're convincing, like Sam and Adam, for example, who are more worried about why the Youngbloods want them out, to figure out why they felt the need to shout. So the dramatization does give this story more pedigree to believe, ladies and gentlemen. That's when Kiki asks Esty if Kyra could have seen them do it with the blood veto power. Esty suspects it's Anthony's fault and says it's sad Sam and Adam still put blame on Kyra. But to be fair, they agreed to throwing Kyra under the bus too for Dane. So this was more strategic karma. But now I'm wondering if Kyra will find out about that, because to be honest, if I'm Dane, I would feel nervous. I would want to make a deal instead of being sent home over Mark. It'll be interesting to see what he does with Kyra up until Thursday, because he already was stressing to them how he came in single and will leave single. Will Dane throw Esty under the bus here as the sacrificial lamb? Does Dane get backdoored if he doesn't do it? Does Kyra have any incentive to use it on Mark more than Kiki? At the end of the day, all these questions are at play, and there's a strategic mad dash upon us where everyone will be trying to snatch the power vacuum left by Kyra's decision. Saving Mark doesn't really change the power vacuum necessarily, unless it's Mark for Dane and Mark decides to cut Dane before the jury. That would be earth-shattering too, if Mark totally flips at jury as well. But that's why some superfans are starting to root for him to get out Dane. And see, that's the crazy thing. You know shit is crazy when superfans are now starting to root for Mark just because he's the only person who will even voice wanting to get out Dane. I mean, sure, Kyra would like him out. Sure, Sam would like him out. But they're too busy targeting women to get him out. You see what I'm saying? Oh, let's get out his soldiers first. How about you get him out? That way you can use the soldiers. I mean, that's Big Brother 101, but these players do not see value in it. It seems like only Anthony sees the value in that. And let's really break it down. Anthony basically threw Kaitlyn under the bus, then used all of her allies. Basically, he recruited all of Kaitlyn's allies after he threw her under the bus. You know, so that shows me even more so Anthony could have worked with Kaitlyn. But let's continue. Now, around 11:10 p.m. Canada time, Anthony is starting to suspect Dane is okay with sending Mark home over Kiki because Kiki has been meeting with Dane and Adam ever since she got that bed in the have-not room. Anthony is sure Kyra won't use the blood veto on him, but he is no longer sure if Adam and Dane are okay with going rogue by sacrificing Mark. This is good because Kiki has already voiced that she wants it to seem like Adam is considering her offer by spending more time with him to show Sam they can work together. Kiki is a bit worried, however, that Sam could be jealous of her because Adam always compliments Kiki's hair and he rarely compliments Sam's hair. And if you watch feeds, you know Sam doesn't wash her hair at all. So it comes with some insecurities, some massive insecurities there. And I think that's also why she was so catty towards Kiki in the goodbye message. I think that plays a role there. You feel me? So at the end of the day, yeah, I think Sam, she's very territorial over a guy that she has so many arguments with on feeds. But let's continue. But it was very telling how the energy in the house has changed so much. Now Adam finally sees maybe that 5-person alliance wasn't such a bad idea after all. And now that Kiki could be replaced by Dane, Dane has been spending lots of time around Kiki as well because he needs her vote. Who would have thought one bed could change so many things in the strategy? But the conversation I want to bring up is the one where Corey applied full court pressure on Kiki. She clearly only did this because Anthony wants to read on what Kiki's plans are in the future. But Kiki hasn't felt the need to campaign to Anthony, which has made Anthony more worried and skeptical about Kiki's game. Kiki doesn't see a reason to campaign to Anthony. And that tells me Kiki fully expects him to vote to keep Mark. And this is more proof to me on why Kiki didn't deserve to go before Esty. Kiki saw more shit than Esty could. Esty was more Bird Box than anything else. Whereas Kiki, with Esty the one telling her, no, now's not the time. No, now's not the time. Don't do it yet. You know, when you have a partner who you're really cool with that's real gun shy, if you ain't willing to just shoot the shot and hope they ready to ride with you, then you're never gonna shoot it because they ain't gonna shoot it. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's what's really going on, in my opinion, with these two. Kiki sees what needs to be done, but she's constantly the pawn because of Esty's mistakes. Esty has the comfort zone and the protection of knowing she never has to be that pawn in front of Kiki, so she can always play backseat driver. She can always play Monday morning quarterback and tell her what she should do if she was in her position campaigning to stay. But Esty is proven she's bad under pressure even when she isn't on the block. So it comes back to, who are you to tell her how to campaign? Now, to be fair, Kiki ain't that good of a campaigner herself. I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck. I'm going to speak on the mistakes Kiki made. Oh, most of her mistakes happened later in the week, mainly around Wednesday-ish, I'd say. It's when she made a lot of mistakes. And that was when she was in that room by herself and she got caught in a lot of lies. And that's mainly because she keeps changing her targets. She changed it. 1 minute, she was Sam and Adam all the way. Next minute, oh, let's work as a 5. Come on, I'll even consider targeting Damian and Kyra. Next thing, people apply pressure to her. Oh, you know what? Let's get out Corey and Anthony. You feel me? So because she constantly brings up 2 targets from 3 different sides of the house, you got Corey and Damian who are perceived as floaters. You got, my fault, Damian and Kyra who are perceived as floaters. You got Anthony and Corey who are perceived as a duo. And then you have Sam and Adam who are perceived showmans and a duo. Okay? So by her creating these 6 different targets, she basically guaranteed all 3 sides of the house would vote to keep Mark. And that was before you even add the context of the men being in an alliance together. Okay, so Kiki, she isn't innocent in none of this either. I'm gonna hold her accountable as well. Okay, bad play all the way. All right, but when you're around a bad player who's worse than you start to take on some of their attributes and tendencies. And frankly, I think that's what happened to Kiki a little bit. I think she started to actually believe that bad SD gameplay could work for her too. Nah, coach, nah. Now let's continue. Kiki doesn't see a reason to campaign to Anthony, and that tells me Kiki fully expects him to vote to keep Mark. Corey came at Kiki to ask her who she would target in a triple eviction. By process of elimination, Corey believes Kiki wouldn't throw up SD, Dane, or Damian. So in Corey's book, that leaves her as a clear option. Kiki mentioned to Dane and SD that Corey only did this because Sam and Adam made the mistake of having Kiki campaign in front of them and Corey on Saturday, which is true because the moment she had to campaign in front of Corey and Sam and Adam, I think that's what forced her to mention Damian and Kyra's name. You see what I'm saying? Because she couldn't say Anthony and Corey in front of Corey. She couldn't say Sam and Adam in front of Corey, Sam and Adam, meaning she had to have come up with those 2 names in that specific moment. Meaning Anthony ain't the only one then that's letting Damian know she threw you under the bus. It's also Corey. And that's why Kiki made another mistake, because she should have known how close Corey was to who? Damian. Let's continue. So Corey is starting to hurt her own game listening to Anthony. Anthony is starting to turn on Dane. Mark can't do anything, and Adam is willing to do anything to stay. Question is, does Dane or Adam throw Anthony under the bus to Kyra before Thursday? The reason I'm asking this is because Anthony was bashing Kyra a lot last week behind her back. If Kyra finds this out after working so hard to protect Anthony from touching the block, Kyra could choose him over Dane, but I highly doubt it. Adam finally goes up to the HOH room to speak to Sam after speaking with Kiki and Esty. These 2 must have had a fight or something earlier because Sam and hold on. Let me make sure I said this right. Adam finally goes up to the HOH to speak to Sam after speaking with Kiki and Dane. My fault. These 2 must have had a fight or something earlier because Sam is talking like Adam needed some space. This obviously involves Kyra. Kyra is talking to Corey outside alone after studying days with Sam before she finished smoking and went to the HOH room. Kyra reveals some key information about Dane's game to Corey. Information that Dane has been the one whose game Mark has been using by mentioning how each person left is $14,000 each. That's basically what they're worth as a player. Each time someone leaves out, that's an extra $14,000 that goes to the winner, basically. So that's what they're trying to break it down into. But Corey mistakenly believes she isn't perceived as being close to Anthony in this conversation. She's already looked at as Anthony's number, though. And that's why Adam took exception with Anthony's gameplay earlier in the week of wanting to protect Corey from being backdoored, even though Anthony keeps pushing for Sam to be backdoored. This is an example, though, of the non-binary blindsider coming of prophecy, ladies and gentlemen. They expose Dane's game to Corey while Anthony is already pissed at Dane. This can lead to both flipping with Sam, Adam, and Kyra for their own final 5. I can see Adam and Sam being less threatened by that 3 because it includes Kyra in it, juxtaposed to working with Dane and forfeiting majority in the final 5. Strategically, Anthony has the advantage on Dane here and can go for the kill based off the Corey backdoor plan alone, ladies and gentlemen. Kyra even told Corey about how Sam wants Dane out and how they've seen the friction lately between Dane and Adam specifically. All the floaters are starting to smell blood in the strategic waters. Corey tells them to keep that information quiet and even listens carefully while speaking to know when to shut up. Listen for someone walking up. Then she changed the subject back to studying dates real quick. Honestly, I thought this was very impressive because I actually want to break this down. So you got Corey speaking to Kyra, right? And Anthony is walking back and forth because he's trying to find a partner to play pool with him. Anthony loves playing pool. He rarely ever loses in pool. And by the way, Anthony, I just want to throw that out there. You might want to start losing on purpose a little bit. You don't want to keep this this aura of invincibility around you. As a black man, that's the last thing you need strategically. But right now, you're playing so well, do you, coach? But he was waiting for Kyra to come out from outside to go ahead and play pool with him. And of course, she's talking to Corey in the room. And see, what's so sly about Corey, and see, this was the reason why I wanted people to vote for her to get that twist that ended up being a letdown that Damian had, where he looked in on Mark and Sam. This is why I wanted Corey to have it. Because Corey, I've been telling people, man, she's a legit good player. Okay, legit good player. You don't get a lot of information out of her, just like you don't get a lot of information out of Damian or Anthony. And that's why the three of them want to work together, is because they're all three closed books. Now, Damian, he's more so a closed book because he learned his lesson from week one, you know, and he don't want to be a pawn no more. Anthony, this has been his game from the start. Corey, this has pretty much been her game from the start too, because she started late. Okay. But at the end of the day, I thought it was real smooth to see someone have a conversation, a real like high level game conversation, right? So it's Corey basically trying to talk Kyra into why they all should work with Anthony, Damian. You know, basically is Anthony trying to get his troops to recruit other troops. You know, it's like multi-level marketing with Anthony. He be out here killing shit. But anyway, my point is Corey is talking to Kyra, and as she's talking to her, she still has the wherewithal and the presence of mind to hear when a door opens like 100 feet, maybe not 100 feet, but maybe like 50 feet away, the other door. The second door that would lead to the backyard. She can hear when someone comes through that door to know when to change the subject. So when they walk up, they're talking about something that both players can transition with well to be able to play it off like they're not game talking. That's my point here. That showed me that Kyra's a good player. Okay. So yeah, so this showed me once again, Kyra is acting like she's close to Anthony, but still has the sportsmanship within the game to not include Anthony on every game conversation she has. This is good because if both make the end, they both will have a good case to win. So Kyra telling Corey that Sam wants Dane out and had to do damage control with Adam to cover it up. Wait, hold on. So Kyra is telling Corey that Sam wants Dane out and had to do damage control with Adam to cover it up. So now Sam is only acting like she wants to work with Dane because Adam won the veto and didn't use it. Corey asks Kyra if she can tell Anthony that Sam doesn't want to work with Dane. Both women agree that Adam isn't as dangerous as Dane because he is nowhere near as good at lying. That's when Kyra goes on telling this story about how Dane was feeding Mackie stuff to say in his campaign to stay, and he only did that so he wouldn't have to break his own oath to him. Kyra says Eddie told them that Dane promised Mackie he would stay the day before Mackie left. And the most ironic part is he promised Eddie that again the night before the double eviction when Eddie left. So these are two people that should know that Dane is a habitual liar, okay? So at the end of the day, this is me taking notes, hoping like, man, she's got to know to use this power to backdoor Dane. Like, I'm taking these notes like, yes, I got all the proof. And then we get what we got. But, hey, that's why you take the notes, man. You got to deal with it sometimes. Now, continue. It's good to see them talking about this move because I think they can work well together. Both are aligned to Anthony. So it makes sense for them to develop a bond as well. That's the only way they can possibly approach Sam and Adam with an alliance. Is if Kyra speaks highly of them and targets Dane over Adam. But I still believe Adam shouldn't have behaved so weird all day because he won the veto. He should at least be confident with that. Dane hasn't even competed for a veto comp yet, if I'm not mistaken. And that's another reason why Dane is so uncomfortable. He hasn't yet to compete in a veto competition, I believe. And that's why he feels so paranoid a lot of times. And that's why he feels like he has to keep winning these HOHs in and out, in and out, in and out, is because Lady Luck isn't on his side when it comes to playing in the actual veto competition. Now, let's continue. So wouldn't it be crazy of a guy who won 2 HOHs before jury to leave right out right before jury because the player he chose to break a sworn oath to keep in the game would now be the same person the House unanimously chose to essentially backdoor him? That would be a grimier outcome than a backdoor. This is getting screened out the entire play, coach. You feel it, dig me? But of course, we didn't get this. But once again, man, the optics of that move, if it would have happened, it would have been beautiful. It would have been beautiful, coach. It would have been beautiful. Now, Corey admits she would throw Dane up, but put someone else on the block other than Adam. Corey also admits it would be best for everyone if they threw it to Damian so he could go after Dane. But I think Damian would go after Mark and Sam. So it'll be interesting if that ever happens. Then Kyra mentions how Dane promised he wouldn't throw them up a second time the day before he did it again. Corey says she doesn't want to work with someone who lies. Corey, in a real savvy way, explains the ideal partner in the game is someone you can trust with that will handle situations similar to how you would when you aren't around. I think that was a great way of explaining what a good alliance mate is. That's a great way to explain a successful Big Brother alliance. This is why the PB is so strong. They know how to cover each other's sixes. But now it's getting to a point where they can't afford to protect each other with jury on the line. This is when Corey admits Kyra changed her game by alerting them to the backdoor plan. Both women think Sam may have not done it, but Adam probably did want to. This is true. They are slowly but surely figuring out that they work well together. Kyra mentions Corey and Anthony are playing the best games in the house. Then eventually they leave out so Kyra can play Anthony with pool. Play with Anthony in pool. Play Anthony in pool. Play with Anthony in pool. That's pretty fun. Now, both work. But anyway, let's get to Tuesday's feeds, ladies and gentlemen. That was Monday, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to build the case as to why this move was beta male, beta female, beta non-binary. Let's continue. Okay. Anthony attempts to work Damien to flip on Kiki the whole day by mentioning why Kiki can't be trusted. But because Kyra is snitching on Kiki, telling them what they want to hear, Anthony has the necessary information to show Damien all the things they discuss without him. Anthony even brings up how Kiki said she would throw him up as the pawn next to Kyra. But Anthony does lie here as well by mentioning how Mark isn't a threat to anyone, when in reality, all live feeders know it's wisest for Damien to take out Mark because of Kiki. Why wouldn't Damien choose the girl he has a great friendship with over the guy jealous of its existence? Damien mentions someone telling him about Kaylin throwing him under the bus at the last second. And I had a problem with this because if the only way y'all can get Damien to trust y'all is to mention Kaylin, who's been out of the game for weeks now, I just go to show y'all ain't that good with connecting with Damien. And he's a nice guy. So maybe some of y'all are just too dirty of a player if y'all got to use these dirty tactics. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, I just don't like how, let's bring up the black woman to get him to believe us. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. Now, but the truth is all Kaylin did was explain how her game helps certain people more than Damien's. That isn't throwing him under the bus necessarily. That's using logic. That's breaking down the strategy with logical game sense. So clearly people only told Damien this now to gain his trust, to tell him reasons to turn on Kiki. Anthony mentions how everyone else got out the game for turning on people, and he starts breaking down each player's downfall. That's when he mentioned this game is all about luck and loyalty. Interesting he chose luck as one of those two words, because what have I been drilling home this entire season, ladies and gentlemen? Some players are unlucky and some are lucky. That doesn't define their gameplay, though. It just defines the setting they were in with their gameplay. The loyalty aspect is more so about the social game and alliances, but the luck part is key, because an unlucky player can go out at any time. A lucky player can be someone who doesn't win. It's all about perspective, ladies and gentlemen. But you must remove emotions from judging the luck category. Damien mentions to Anthony, it's good that they have these conversations because Anthony is a closed book that doesn't tell people most of what he hears. Damien is the same way. Corey as well. If Kiki leaves, this is Damien's best option for making the end. He has a final two with Corey, so making a final three with Anthony isn't telling a lie. There's tons of upside in all three being unstoppable together, but Damien hates how so many people stare whenever he talks to Corey alone. That's when Anthony mentions how one of those three needs to win the next HOH so it can be a bloodbath and feed switch to Kiki talking to Kyra. Kyra speaks to Kiki and tells her they don't believe the rumors about them shouting to get out the showmans because the rumor was never proven by a witness. Now, whole time, this is hilarious because Kyra started this damn rumor. So to see them bullshit with Kiki about how I don't believe it because it wasn't substantiated by facts. You know, this showed me Kyra has potential to actually be a very interesting, a very entertaining player, a player that has a lot of nuance to their game, that isn't cookie cutter. Okay. But see, this is my point. This is my problem. You spend this whole week being chaotic, then you get a twist to allow you to get the chaotic nickname. We would have called you Chaos Kyra. You would have had it built in, okay? You would have had it built into your name, coach. Alliteration, coach, right? It would have been perfect. and you threw it all away. So all this work you did this week to be chaotic was just meant to make Kiki and Esty look bad? It was just to ruin Dane's side of the numbers? I mean, come on. I get it if you're doing this because you want to make the end with Anthony's side, but at the same time, or maybe she does think she can make it the end with Sam and Adam. I don't know. I don't really care about that part. But my point is, everything she's done this week from a strategic standpoint directly contradicts the action of not using the damn blood veto. That's my problem. That's the super fans' problem. Kyra, it doesn't make any damn sense. Okay? If you just wanted to be this lay low player, don't be chaotic during the damn week. Ding, ding, ding. You feel it, dig me? And see, that's my problem. Now, let's continue because I don't want to lose myself in the notes again. That last one, I was down there like 5 minutes. Let me stop. All right. As this is happening, Kyra has to be careful because they were the ones that spread the rumor and they were the ones who overheard Esty say, fuck the men. Plus, the Youngbloods already know Kyra spread it. But Kiki can't show Kyra she knows, and Kyra can't show Kiki they did it. This leads to Kyra discussing why it's hard for them to vote for Kiki. It isn't that they can't work with her. It's that Kiki is close to Dane, who threw Kyra up twice. That leads to Kyra mentioning the broken telephone, but really Kyra has been the one starting each broken telephone game this week. But that doesn't stop Kyra from spreading it. But of course, they double down on being innocent of doing it. But if they are so descriptive of the move itself, aren't they just incriminating themselves while denying it? I'm telling y'all, man, I'm just waiting for somebody to use some common sense, coach. Damn. Now let's continue. Kyra tells Kiki basically to separate herself from Esty so people don't perceive her to be in a pair. That's when Kyra tells Kiki she thinks she will be safe and they go separate ways. Kiki sees Dane and speaks to him. Dane reveals Kyra told Sam about them shouting about targeting the showmans. Dane tells Kiki not only that, but to go talk to Sam about it to see if she lies or not. Now, the first thing I want to mention about this situation, Kiki. You just had a conversation with Kyra where she told you information about Dane, right? She told you some information about Dane. Right after she told you, don't share this information with anyone because it will get back to me. Why would you yell and tell Dane, hey, Dane, can we talk? How about in the blue room? Why would you say that? Now Kyra knows where you are with Dane. Now she knows when she can eavesdrop outside the door of said room. She knows she can walk in that room because she sleeps in that room. I mean, at the end of the day, it just looks suspicious. You couldn't bury that information, that intel for 20 minutes, then go? Like, why can't you be smarter about this? Now Kyra knows that you're probably a rat for Dane 100%, which is probably why she didn't buy your speech tonight. So it all starts to add up. So at the end of the day, I'm being fair to everybody involved here. All right. There was mistakes going everywhere. Mistakes everywhere. You can hand out L's to everybody involved. All right. And now the ones that don't get L's are the PBs. But y'all get my point here. And possibly Corey. She don't deserve an L either. But anyway. So Kiki shuts this down. But Dane reveals Sam doesn't really like Kyra. Question is Dane saying this to really help Kiki? Or is he doing this to make sure Kiki stays on the block so even if Mark gets taken off, Kiki doesn't make jury? See, you gotta really think about what Dane is doing here, because Dane was giving Kiki suggestions to go up to Sam and to do things that would have just completely nuked her social game. And even Kiki had to be smart enough to go, no, that doesn't make sense for me right now. That doesn't make sense for me. So understand, Dane was trying to get her to bury herself even more to cover his own ass, all right? Now let's continue. Now, funny how Kyra ends up getting some coffee and then follows them into the blue room. This interrupts the game talk completely, and Kyra came off quite guilty because they just got done talking to Kiki about it. Now, to be fair, in hindsight, Kiki came off more guilty. I mean, Kyra had just as much of a right to be in that bedroom than anyone else, but for Kiki to look for Dane after that conversation just looked like a bad look. You know, as this happened at 8:25 p.m. Canada time, people are clowning me for saying Canada time. Eastern time, guys. Eastern time, all right? Cams 3 and 4. Adam and Sam sound like they are breaking up live on feeds. Literally, this shit was lit, y'all. All right. Sam appears angry with Adam because she expects a proposal. But Adam remembers her saying she didn't want to be in a box and wanted an open relationship. So Adam is confused by these mixed signals. Now, Sam ends up explaining herself a little bit better, you know, and saying, when she said she didn't want to be put in a box, like this was some Dawson's Creek. It was some other shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, get these two on what's that show? Young and the Restless. Get them on CBS, coach. They ready. You really dig me? But anyway, so at the end of the day, I just want to provide context by saying Sam, she's close to a menstrual cycle, okay? All right, so she's very emotional in this moment. At the same time, Adam ain't really giving her what she want back. I mean, let's be honest, right? He's kind of, I mean, she's aware that he's playing the game a little 50-50 with her. You know what I'm saying? He not really choosing up on her, if you catch my drift. You feel it, dig me? And the whole subject of a marriage was really just a metaphor for taking me serious now and don't take me for granted. And you can tell Adam misses his ex-girl. I'm not trying to get too personal, but I'm trying to explain why this fight happens here. You know, Sam is trying to prove to Adam she's more emotionally mature. She's been in more serious relationships with him, and he's trying to justify his apprehensive feelings by saying he was just in a serious relationship with his ex, and she had kids, and all this other stuff. So they're going at it with each other off this shit, off the strength of really nothing. But, you know, you could just tell there's a lot of sexual tension in the air, ladies and gentlemen. The type of tension that Adam can't solve and Sam can't solve with all these damn cameras. So, of course, Kyra had to be the mediator. Now, let's continue. But on his way out of the HOH room, he said to the cams, this is why he didn't want to be in a showman's. Adam wants Kyra to go check up on Sam because right now he isn't in the right mindset to chat with her. As Kyra walks in the HOH room, Sam is already crying in front of the mirror. And see, this is the thing. I'm shocked they didn't put this on today's edit. They put enough filler in this shit. They didn't show the one scene that I thought they would have been begging to show. Is the Sam and the Adam drama. I thought they would have like had specific advertisements set up, certain commercials set up for right before the Sam and Adam part, right after the Sam and Adam fight. I thought they would have been prepared for this, but it must have been too much hot shit going on in one night for them to be able to fit that in there. Maybe they fit it in on Sunday and act like it just happened. I don't know. But this fight was very funny to me. It was. Now, hold on real quick. Okay. As Kyra walks in the HOH room, Sam is already crying in front of the mirror. So Sam went from the bed to arguing with Adam all the way to the bathroom to crying in front of the mirror at this point. They embrace, and Sam says she feels stupid for being in a showman's as well. Sam reveals she is close to her menstrual cycle, and that's why she's so emotional. Kyra then changes the subject to get Sam in a better mood by telling her about her conversation with Kiki. Kyra drags Kiki for lying to her, and Sam admits the only people that know how smart Kyra truly is Sam, Anthony, and Corey. And I think those are the group that knows how smart she is. Then Kyra mentions how Kiki ran right to Dane after their conversation. They even mention how Damien won't talk game around Kyra, as well as how Damien wants a guy to win so they can't trust him. Now, I don't know for a fact if Damien has said out loud that he wants a guy to win, but that seems to be the rumor against him right now that the women are spreading. Now, let's continue. Kyra gives Sam the pep talk she needs to put her game before Adam's, and both agree Kiki has to go for being untrustworthy. Kyra even clowns Kiki a bit for campaigning in a way that makes Kiki more of a target, not less of one. By mentioning her pair all the time, by making her more of a target by mentioning her pair all the time. I agree with Kyra here, mainly because each time Kiki does this, she gives people more reason to not want both twins to make jury. This is true. I mean, because Kiki keeps saying, we're a pair. You know, if you keep me, we both are 2 votes for you. But the more you drill that home, the more you make it easier for someone to go, but if I keep Mark, I split you 2 up, and Mark could be a vote for me, and Esty could be a vote for me. That could be my 2. So that's how people are compartmentalizing this, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's continue. And the way Kyra is clowning Kiki here does tell me the blood veto won't be used. And even if it was used, it's more likely she uses it to save Mark and throws up Esty before anything else. Kyra has gotten closer to Corey through Anthony. They're close to Anthony and Sam already. Adam won't go up because that would betray Sam. So the only options are Damien, Dane, or Esty to go up in their place. So the only way blood veto is used is if it's forced to be used. Because strategically, this week has already played itself out, and Kiki is 1 foot out the door. Plus, Kyra is just telling everyone she's going with the house. They're going with the house. And if the House votes 6-1 like they did earlier today, or was it 5-1, I guess, earlier today, if that's the damn vote, you know what I'm saying, then it falls right in line with what Kyra's been saying they were going to do, go with the House. But once again, going with the House doesn't change the dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Chelsea left because she went with the House when she had power. You just went with the House with some power. So you might leave too. I mean, it's really that simple. Like, these players don't believe they owe you now that you didn't use that. Now let's continue. The non-binary blindsider just keeps getting more powerful socially. Sam leaves it up to Kyra to be the mediator between her and Adam to get back on the same page, and Kyra talks the same sense into Adam. Isn't it crazy how Kyra, the player who was labeled a shadow a week ago, is now an expert on showman psychology? I'm just being honest. This is pretty funny. This wasn't expected, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's get into Wednesday's feeds, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, yesterday it was the Wild Wild West, coach. But yesterday, I pretty much accepted the fact that Kiki is not a good player on the bottom. She's not a good player as a nominee that knows she's going home because she runs out of ideas. And frankly, her allies weren't really conducive or good enough of thinkers, of players to be able to create certain ideas to allow her to implement to try to wiggle out of whatever small space she was in this week. So we're going to break that down now, ladies and gentlemen. Now, around 12:50 p.m., Adam is talking to the cameras mad at Anthony and Mark because both have told him they would have to put him up next to Sam next week. Drama. So even though Adam had that fight with Sam, he is insulted at the idea that these guys would choose him to go up next to Sam over 5 other possible pawns just to ensure Sam would leave. This, of course, pisses off Adam because the men expect him to throw the HOH to them so they can knock out his girl. Adam promises to gun for the HOH and go after Esty. But I really want Adam to go after a guy to protect his lady, just once. But he's trying to get Dane to see it from his perspective, I guess, by targeting Esty. I think the best play for Adam here is to nominate Corey next to Esty to turn Anthony on Dane. And then he will have 2 different pairs and 4 different players having to plead their case and expose their games. Now that's a Recency Bias Radio exclusive. See, that's what I would do if I was in his spot. But that's asking for too much with this season, man. That's asking for too much. Maybe even their pairs. If Adam wants to win this season, this is his next best move. He has to make people pay for thinking shit is sweet enough to target his girl. Period. End of story. He needs to let people know. He need to lay down the hammer, coach. All right? Adam also mentions how he trusts Sam 1,000% even after their fight the night before. So this shows he's only getting closer to Sam with these serious conversations because a man knows when a woman truly has his back. Adam is hoping to win the next HOH, expecting a triple eviction to happen a week after, freeing him up for that one as well. But you can understand why Adam is so mad about this proposition. He just won veto to keep Mark safe, and before Mark even comes off the block, he's already talking about throwing up Adam to send Sam home, when both want Mark to stay right now. Adam feels like all the work he is doing is being underappreciated, and he has a valid argument here. Adam should flip. He could have flipped by saving Kiki, but Esty ruined it. And then we found out really Anthony ruined it. So it makes sense why he would want Esty gone next if he won HOH. He wants Dane and Sam with him because nobody can beat them 3 if they're together in comps. Adam speaks to Dane during their workouts and starts confessing his frustrations to Dane about how everyone wants Sam gone and how Sam is protecting the same people that want her gone right now. It feels like Adam is starting to see things from Sam's perspective. Finally, Dane mentions Mark will most likely throw up Sam and Kyra, but Dane doesn't know Mark already told Adam that Adam would go up next to Sam. Dane wants Sam gone too, but it's important for him to come off as the one PB member in Sam's corner to Adam, especially this week, because Adam will probably be less likely to target him during the triple if Dane plays it this smart for another week. Kiki and Esty are in Leon's lounge alone discussing the campaign. Now, this is a key situation, ladies and gentlemen, because I think this was the moment Damien completely flipped on Kiki, and he decided it was best for him to vote her out. Kiki and Esty are in Leon's lounge alone discussing the campaign. Esty thinks Corey is no way their target because Kyra has been talking more with Corey than the Youngbloods lately. Esty also thinks if the blood veto gets used, they guarantee it will be on Kiki. But how can Esty make this guarantee? Esty doesn't even know that the non-binary blindsider already got enough intel from Anthony to know Esty is terrible under pressure and threw Sam under the bus. Kyra even said Esty was bad under pressure to Anthony and Corey. So for Esty to guarantee her partner will be safe by the blood veto while being a logical outcome wasn't very smart to do with your ally, especially when your read of the player in question is very off. This could lead to Kiki approaching Kyra wrong as well. Kiki already knows she was caught running right to Dane after Kyra told her not to repeat their conversation with anyone. So to know someone lied to your friend's face, who is the nominee, and still guarantee safety from them is sending mixed signals in a sense, isn't it? And the non-binary blindsider is shooting up my power rankings as a result. I mean, they are truly yoking the women in this house, yoking them with a lot of this weird play that they can't really get a gauge on. And the fact that they have to stay very dependent on Kyra makes it so they can't afford to really be honest. I'm talking about Kiki. Kiki can't really afford to be honest around Kyra because Kyra holds all the cards, which is what leads to Kyra being brutally honest with Kiki later in the night, which I'll get into in a second. So let's continue. All right. So this gives me hope. If this power was used, it would have to be to get out a powerful player, which is why I don't expect it to be used this week. But I don't blame these house guests for assuming it would be this week because of the timing of it all. Apparently, right after the veto ceremony, Kyra got called into the DR. Since this happened at that moment, everyone started speculating the power would be used, and that is what sparked this hysteria of everyone thinking the power would be used. Kyra speaks to Kiki again after what many assume had to have been some sort of have-not comp because she now has crutches. Apparently, she sprung her ankle earlier when the feeds were down. During this conversation, Kyra came off like a bully. I gotta be honest. They evolved to full non-binary blindsider status in this moment. They straight up told Kiki that Kiki can't get their vote because Kyra can't trust her. And with Anthony driving home all week how much luck and loyalty matters, Kiki seems to be done mainly because she made the terrible move of switching targets. Kiki told people she would target Kyra and Damien, but now Kiki is saying Anthony and Corey. That created basically a 4-vote swing against Kiki, and that's all she needed to be sent home. So Dane and Esty have no choice but to make it a unanimous vote because Adam will be also voting Kiki out. And by the way, Esty, for you to throw that hinky towards Kiki, stupid gameplay. And Damien, for you not to vote to save Kiki, and for you to go ahead and vote to go ahead and to vote out Kiki. I mean, for you to vote out Kiki and not vote out Mark was smart on your part, Damien, because guess what? Now Dane is in trouble with Esty because he told Esty he would vote for Kiki. So there's a lot going on. So on top of the fact that Kiki, in her speech, threw Dane under the bus, now Dane has to deal with the fact that he lied to Esty about the Kiki vote as well, which justifies Kiki's suspicions this entire time about Dane that Esty has kept poo-pooing over and over because she was too busy. And I'm not going to say she was dickmatized, but at the end of the day, she was fooled. She was bamboozled. She was played. You feel it, dig me? She was finagled. She was fugazied. You feel me? Shout outs to Ghost Island. Now let's continue. Mark has benefited considerably from relying on all the men to help his reputation, while Kiki has suffered greatly from relying on Esty, who relies on Dane, who chooses the PB over Esty as it is. So even though Kiki made terrible moves this week, she agreed to these decisions while brainstorming with Esty, who consistently gave her bad advice. I just don't understand why someone who has never touched a block can think their campaign advice has any credibility. Well, Esty believed hers did because of Dane. Then when Anthony jumps on code and shows preferential treatment towards Corey, Esty gets mad at Anthony and then talks Kiki into wanting him and Corey out, which played its role as well in Kiki switching targets. So this is just me providing proof that the Youngbloods were destroyed exactly the same way how they were preserved, by Esty relying on Dane too much. Dane gave Kiki so much advice to compromise her game this week, and if she would have implemented most of it, she would be in even worse of a situation heading into Thursday. But in the end, Kiki's decision to run to Dane after her game talks with Kyra pretty much ruined any chances of Kyra using her blood veto to save Kiki. And Kiki only did that because she knew Dane would be suspicious of her meeting with Kyra and not sharing what they spoke about. But see, this all goes back to Esty fighting so hard for Kiki not to compromise Dane's game. By Kiki acquiescing to Esty's wishes, Kiki never separated her game from Dane's, who Kyra wants out the most. You see what I'm doing there? I'm showing y'all how being stubborn with assuming someone has your back can be the worst mistake you make, especially when you got a campaign. Because sometimes all your campaign needed was to throw Dane under the bus like 5 days ago. waiting for your last speech to do it, it's not going to be believed. Because you got 5 other targets that you already meant. Matter of fact, 6 other targets you already threw under the bus. Now you're mentioning Dane too? Damn. There's only 10 people left in the damn game, Kiki. You already mentioned 7 of them. You see what I'm saying? It's just not a good look, man. She's basically mentioned everybody's name that wasn't Sam and Adam. No, wait. No, she even mentioned Anna. Yeah. The only name she didn't throw under the bus this week was Estes. Basically. Yeah. Because you can't throw herself on it. Yeah, exactly. So this made Mark's game seem minuscule by comparison. Kiki's mistake was not turning on Dane earlier. Kyra clearly feels betrayed by Dane for throwing them up the second time. So Kiki's plan of action should have been 100% based around being willing to sacrifice Dane. But to be fair, Chelsea crashing and burning in her campaign the week prior is also limiting Kiki's campaign strategy as well, because everyone perceived her as the next Chelsea just because she switched targets. So maybe making Dane her target would have still got her compared to Chelsea. We'll never know. But her mentioning throwing up Damien was a terrible move, especially since both her and Esty refused to believe Damien was working with the men a week ago, but now they are throwing him under the bus? I think that inconsistency and loyalty above all else is why Kiki can't be trusted this week. Her name dropping of Damien has made their friendship so awkward as well, because Damien is noticing how the Youngbloods don't even talk game around him no more. Facts. I mean, there was this one moment where Kiki and Esty were in Leon's lounge. Damien walks in. He puts his head around the corner to let them know it's just him. And then he walks in, and it's so awkward because all of a sudden the girls change subject. Then they look. Then Kiki turns around and says, "Oh, you're just trying to go to sleep?" And then Damien says, "Yeah, I'm just a little tired." So they say, "All right, well, we're going to leave. Do you want to come?" And it's like, huh? You feel me? So it felt like they didn't want to talk about nothing around him eavesdropping because they don't trust him anymore. And that shows guilt in the fact that you made him a target. So at the end of the day, you can't blame Damien for none of this. This was your own misplays. So let's continue. That change in energy, no doubt, confirms what Anthony told Damien, building more trust between them and less between Damien and the ladies. This allows Anthony to have Corey, Damien, Mark, Kyra, and Dane going into next week to target Sam. Kyra doesn't see it now, but this decision to keep Mark will only lead to Sam being targeted before Esty. But if Kiki had stayed, Kiki and Esty would probably be up before Sam. So Kiki is making sense here as well, but Kyra wants to be part of Anthony's 6 more than Sam's 3 at this point to really care. Any outcome that allows the non-binary blindsider to keep the blood veto the longest, they will take. But now that we know that it expired this week, it makes even less sense. But hey, it still kind of makes some sense because of the bad plays. So yeah, so that's that's my way of explaining that, though. Yeah, it still sounds a little crazy, I know, but see, this is what I'm saying, man. You feel me? This is a clusterfuck of a week. All right, it's a clusterfuck. All right, I'm sifting through it with my obsessive compulsive ass, but at the end of the day, though, it's not meant to fully make sense, ladies and gentlemen. Even the super fans like me are confused. So understand, it's okay to be confused this week. Now, Anthony is making his rounds to make sure everything is still going to plan. He goes to the HOH to check in, and Kyra is talking to Sam about the conversation they just had with Kiki. Kyra is clowning Kiki again here. Kyra leaves and goes to talk to Mark to let him know he has their vote. As this happens, Anthony leaves Sam after finding out information about Kiki, and he then goes to the have-not room to talk to Kiki. Kiki tries to focus on Anthony becoming a massive target later if he keeps sending bigger threats home. But Anthony's argument is he doesn't need help with physical comps, just the mental ones. But to be fair, if Anthony keeps showing people how smart he is, he will only be telling them he's throwing these mental comps if he keeps up this charade. Anthony admits to having eyes all over, making me think he's the Game of Thrones Varys of Big Brother Canada 7. Anthony has spies everywhere who are aware of the other spies, and those checks and balances keep all the snitches in line. It's quite remarkable, if I'm being honest. Anthony tells Kiki this vote is deeper than him just liking her as a person. He tells her that everyone in the game is a fierce competitor, not just her, not just Esty. He also says the Timon and Pumbas are gone now and there's only lions left, which I liked. I like that because now I didn't like it from the perspective of at the end of the day, Kaylin clearly was a lion. Mackie clearly was a lion. Now I'm willing to agree that Chelsea was a Timon and Pumbaa. I'm willing to agree with that. All right. I'm willing to agree with that. So now that's really what I agree with in that point. I mean, but to say everyone who left out pre-jury were Timon and Pumbaa's, I think that's bullshit. But I think what he means to really say is all of the extras of the season, the people who aren't gonna impact the winner are gone. You know, the ancillary, miscellaneous characters. I think he's alluding more to that. But at the same time, though, I do disagree because I think Mackie and Kalen were clearly lions, and that's why all of y'all got them out. You feel it, did me? But I see what Anthony was trying to say. He's saying everyone is a target, so Kiki should stop campaigning by mentioning her threat level because she isn't really up for being a threat. She's up for being a number for Dane and switching her target to being inconsistent. Kiki is too busy believing the lies and alibis people are using to justify targeting her to see her only move to stay is to turn on Dane. But once again, Chelsea made that move hard to do last week with how she turned on Dane, then Adam. So for her to all of a sudden turn on 6 people, then turn on Dane, it makes her look like Chelsea on steroids. Now, so needless to say, Anthony is gathering intel from her, but she's getting none from him. And with this bum leg, Kiki can't go to people to campaign. They have to arrange meetings with her in the have-not room. This should lower her threat level in future comps. But the problem is she isn't trying to use her injury as part of the strategy. This is what I wanted Kiki to do. I wanted her to push how she's she has less of a chance to win comps now with this injury than Mark does, because that's what everyone's argument for keeping Mark was. He can't win nothing. Well, I got a fucked up leg here. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, let's be real. John Party won Big Brother Canada 2 because he played up his separated shoulder injury, right? I believe that's what it was. I believe it was a separated shoulder, maybe dislocated shoulder, but he played it up. And because of it, people overlooked the fact that this 6'9" guy that used to play hockey, everyone overlooked the fact that this huge threat, they didn't really overlook him, but the fact that he was hurt allowed them to always view him as someone that ain't really that dangerous because he was hurt. Then all of a sudden he magically heals and whoops that ass. You see what I'm saying? I was hoping Kiki could figure out a way to pull this off. But once again, it was already Jimmy rigged against her. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, John Party used his separated shoulder, I believe, in Big Brother Canada 2 to lower his threat level. So it's really interesting to see Kiki not use this obvious situation to her advantage. Damien comes in to speak to Kiki, and the first thing Kiki says is a lie about throwing Damien under the bus. That's not good. But Damien does tell her she has his vote, but she doesn't have all the votes. Damien believes Kiki would have SD, Dane, and himself, but nobody else. He then asks her about what just went down with Anthony. But the problem is, nobody is willing to tell anyone who they're voting for because nobody wants to be perceived as campaigning out loud for Kiki to stay. Kiki keeps telling people she feels like she has 3 votes, but there's no way to get another vote. Kyra won't do it because of her allegiance to Anthony. If Anthony doesn't vote to keep Kiki, Corey and Kyra won't. Adam won't vote to keep Kiki because he told Sam Mark will have her back. But even Adam knows Mark will throw up Sam and Adam next week. So the play here now that Kiki can't afford to turn on Dane is to speak alone with Adam. Adam right now is more likely to vote out Mark than Kyra. That's crazy, but it's also the truth. Damien and Kiki both don't know Anthony is very sensitive about his name being brought up. People who do it tend to go home. Damien tells Kiki that he's been telling Corey and Anthony that Kiki wants Sam and Adam gone. But see, this makes Kiki look bad still because now that's 6 different nominees Kiki has said so far. And Corey actually wanted Kiki to stay until she heard her name mentioned by her. In theory, Kiki could have had Corey, Dane, Esty, and Damien voting for her to stay. But switching targets gave Anthony her Infinity Stone. And with the looming threat of Kyra maybe taking someone off, Dane can't do any work for Kiki even if he wasn't aligned with the pretty boys. Luckily for Kiki, Adam is next to speak to her one-on-one. Kiki takes this moment to show Adam that Mark will survive any triple eviction because he isn't a big target. Keeping Kiki guarantees she goes during the triple over Adam, when Mark wouldn't. This is a good pitch, but of course, since Adam is working with Mark, he dismisses it as an unlikely scenario. But the truth is, once Kiki leaves, who replaces her as the new pawn? It will be Mark. But this is why Kiki needs to drive this point home and compound her argument with mentioning how her injury limits her ability to win anything over Mark as well. Kiki tries to explain to Adam that she had no choice but to say Adam and Sam's name because both of them nominated her. So logically, it made no sense to pick other targets in the moment, but this is why it was stupid for Kiki to change to Damien and Kyra, then Anthony and Corey. Kiki's mistake is denying the obvious and not using the obvious to her advantage. I truly believe if she would have switched her target once, she may have been able to dig her way out. Doing it twice, 3 times? Nah, put a fork in her. Adam uses the opportunity to tell her he can't really vote for her because she's playing all sides with her campaign strategy. Kiki tries to flip this as if she ruined her own game on purpose. Oh, this was a bad take on her end. To make it easier for people to vote out Mark. But Adam can see this is an argument of convenience. Adam knows the 5 wouldn't be an option if Sam didn't win HOH. So even though he's very skeptical of Mark internally, he would rather play with him than Kiki, who clearly keeps telling others she's targeting Saddam. That's when Adam brings up the Youngbloods targeting a showman's, and he reveals he knew about the rumor before this week even started. But once again, Kiki denies it and tries to act like this was all by design because keeping her keeps her on the block over someone else. But this is all circumstantial because her game is down the drain, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta be honest here. I'm very disappointed in Kiki's campaign. Her arguments seem like recruit arguments. To tell someone you've already thrown under the bus to keep you because throwing them under the bus helps them go deeper into the game has to be one of the dumbest points I've seen in a long time. But to be fair, Mark has used this point too. And I just want to point out the hypocrisy, but let's be real. And coming off Chelsea's train wreck of a campaign with empty threats, this felt like more of the same. I can't criticize Chelsea, but then give Kiki a break for playing the same way. I'm willing to put some of the blame on Dane and more on Esty, but Kiki played this all wrong as well. Kiki has to take accountability for all those weeks she spent only hanging with Esty. Those weeks in isolation ruined her social game with these players to make them want to keep her now. Adam tells Kiki basically what I'm saying. If she wanted the 5 to work, she should have never thrown Sam and Adam under the bus again after proposing the alliance. But she panicked, and she chose to do it once Corey and Anthony caught wind of it. Now, to be fair, Adam wasn't a fan of the 5 before Kiki ever threw them under the bus. But Adam has to flip this on Kiki as her fault to not reveal his agenda. So Adam did well here, and although Kiki's campaign started off well, it petered off towards the end because she lacked consistency. Adam asks her whose vote she thinks she has so he can talk to them. But really, he just wants to know who hasn't been consistent with him based off who she names. She mentions Esty, but the only 3 names she could get out of her mouth was Adam, Damien, and Dane. Kiki wisely doesn't name Kyra, Corey, or Anthony. Adam reminds her everyone that had left so far has mentioned multiple names. And doesn't this sound just like what Anthony was doing? I'm just showing y'all right now. Adam is starting to use a lot of Anthony's gameplay style to make people okay with why they're going home. And this is good for Anthony, but it's also bad for him because the more Sam notices Adam using some of Anthony's body language, the more she's going to want Anthony gone because she will perceive Anthony as the one keeping Adam from doing what's best for Sam's game. You see what I'm saying? Now let's continue. So like I was saying, Adam reminds her everyone that had left so far has mentioned multiple names. Kiki has done the same, but Mark has done this too, just not this week. But I see what Adam was trying to convey. Adam tells her he plans to vote with the House and their conversation ends. So everyone's saying they're voting with the House. They're not giving her any information. At the same time, the same people are making sure to tell Mark, we're voting for you because everyone's so scared of the men. You see what I'm saying? So Mark knows he can feel safe and be safe. That's why he's so cocky in his confessionals. And Kiki is not getting that same type of positive reinforcement. She got a little bit of it earlier in the week to make her feel good and to make her not act paranoid. But then towards the end, people started just basically being vague with her on purpose to make her go out. You know, so turns out Sam was the one who told Kiki to use that specific pitch with Adam that didn't work. So Kiki is basically being spun in circles here. Adam goes to get Kyra so they can have another one-on-one with Kiki. But I don't get why Kiki would want to talk to Kyra again after Kyra came off so condescending 30 minutes prior. But isn't Kyra a giant hypocrite for being angry at Mark for being condescending towards Chelsea, but then be the same level of condescending towards Kiki to protect Mark? See, this is where production interference comes into play. Something doesn't make sense here. Something don't smell right. I'm just being honest. Something does not smell right. This girl would drink Chelsea's bathwater, and now the dude who is condescending towards her, she gonna keep in the game? Wouldn't someone in Kyra's position take tons of satisfaction in the fact that she could have sent Mark home and then said, hey, by the way, that conversation you wanted to have with Chelsea, you can go have it with her now, bitch. Bye. She had the moment to do that to him. It would have been epic. Chelsea probably would have gave you a fucking date for it. I'm fooling. But y'all see what I'm saying? Y'all see what I'm saying? Her not sending Mark home goes against everything Chelsea stood for the week before. So now this opens up another Pandora's box, ladies and gentlemen. Was Kyra truly just playing? Was she truly just playing Chelsea this entire time? Were we fooled? Because the action of winning this twist and not using it when it expires anyway to send the one guy home who has disrespected the woman you claim to have loved so much, it doesn't. We talking about consistency in this rant. That seems to be the most inconsistent part of this week. Something don't smell right, ladies and gentlemen. Something don't smell right. This is just an example of how the non-binary blindsider is becoming consumed by having some power and authority, but doesn't really know how to use that to become a likable player in the game. Adam goes to get Kyra, then goes to the storage room to talk to both Anthony and Mark. All three men know Kiki is cooked at this point. Put a fork in her. Mark gives the most credit to Anthony for this week, which was well-deserved. Adam tells Mark about his conversation with Kiki and how he shut her down. He even tells Mark about the 5 Kiki wanted with Dane. Mark seemed to be more concerned about if Dane was cool with the 5 than Kiki preaching about it. That shows me Mark still wants Dane out here and he's looking for a reason to put him up. Mark thanks both of these men, man to man, for saving his game. Mark even calls Anthony a legend. Mark mentions how Dane is compromised this week, so they can't really be that mad at him. But something tells me just like Anthony was suspicious Dane would cut Mark, Mark thinks so too. Anthony leaves and Mark mentions to Adam that nobody has approached Mark about a guy's alliance. Everyone perceives him as alone, which is great for all the PBs. Adam then tells him about Kiki's triple eviction argument, which was factual, and Mark says it isn't true. But it is true. Who does Mark leave over in a triple eviction scenario, ladies and gentlemen? Doom, 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 doom. Shut your dumb ass up. At the end of the day, Mark stays over everybody, coach. He stays over everybody. You feel me? Everybody. Everyone else is I had to bring that back, by the way. I had to give y'all something. That's what I call retro recency bias radio. You feel me? Let's continue. That's funny. Everyone else is perceived to be a better competitor besides Esty, and even Esty would go home before him. So to put it simply, it never mattered if Kiki made sense in her campaign or not. She never had the votes because these guys are too loyal to each other. Kiki talks to Kyra one last time before going to bed, and Kiki's final pitch is all about Kyra saying that if the blood veto has to be used, using it on Kiki is the logical move. But the way Kyra keeps talking about going with the house implies their blood veto once again doesn't expire tomorrow, which it did, but still. Kyra tells Kiki that the people who would target them aren't the people who would target her. So technically, Kiki can't be a shield for them in this game. That's false though, ladies and gentlemen. Let me explain. Anybody targeted over Kyra is someone who guarantees Kyra isn't a pawn, correct? Mark staying doesn't make him a shield for Kyra any more than Kiki. The people who would target Kiki are everyone except Dane, Esty, and Damien. So I see where Kyra is coming from. But Kiki staying could keep those 3 from making Kyra another pawn as well, juxtaposed to Mark, who already plans on throwing up Sam and Adam. And who does Kyra think will be the replacement nom if someone comes off? It ain't going to be anyone but Kyra because there are no pawns left with Kiki gone. So now I'm breaking down why her not using that power was stupid for her game specifically. A pawn should want pawns who have been nominated more than them to stick around because it's an easier decision for someone else to throw them up over you. So this is just me debunking the excuse that Kiki isn't a shield for Kyra. She is, but Kyra isn't considering how that blood veto naturally makes them a bigger target. They know because people want them to burn it, but it seems like Kyra is perfectly content with letting Kiki go just to weaken Dane, even though the smarter play is to keep a one-legged Kiki and use blood veto to knock off an able-bodied Dane or an able-bodied Mark, because the twist is then burned, Dane is gone, or Mark, from the men's alliance, forcing Anthony's game to become more visible. Then Anthony and Adam have to fight each other for Dane or Mark's power vacuum, and Kyra sits back to coast to the end. I mean, literally, that's what could have happened, but we can't get nice things. Let's continue. I still think Kyra can coast to the end, but the longer they keep that power and don't use it to make a huge move, the less of a chance Kyra has of winning the game. Scared money don't make none, coach. Kyra leaves Kiki and goes to talk to Sam and Adam to further clown Kiki again. Then everyone goes to bed. If Kyra is forced to use his blood veto, I could see them seeing using it on Mark to put up Esty and get her out over Kiki as their best move because it takes out the person who leaks Dane to Kiki. Plus, Kiki is on crutches, so even if she wanted to avenge Esty, it's less likely than Esty avenging Kiki. I will also be watching Thursday's episode to check for this outcome as well, and we didn't get it. So now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get into Thursday's feeds, which isn't much because it was cut off. So after this, we're going to get into Thursday's episode. We're going to answer questions, and I'm going to be out of your hair, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so Thursday's feeds weren't much with Kiki on crutches and with an early live taping. But what I did catch was Kiki and Esty talking on the couch this morning, whispering. It sounds like Kiki has accepted the fact that she's done in this game. Kiki says she would rather be 6th out than 2nd out. Kiki warns Esty that Corey will target her and Dane now because she now thinks they all threw her under the bus, which they did. Esty then tells Kiki what Anthony told her about having their backs. And Esty says Anthony is full of shit. So Esty is fully going after Anthony if she wins an HOH, ladies and gentlemen. Esty says she can't believe Anthony anymore, and Esty can tell Damien has changed ever since he's spoken to Anthony. They say it's a red flag, but the real red flag was telling people you would nominate Damien next to Kyra, in my opinion. Then Esty admits the truth. Dane makes his own decisions, and he doesn't value her opinion. Finally, Esty, it only took you 4 fucking weeks to figure this out, but thank you. I'm glad you're up to speed. I mean, damn, it took her this long to see this shit. Shit. Now, Esty mentions how both Dane and Anthony have showed their true colors this week in different ways. Anthony and his lies and abilities and his ability to detach. Dane and his refusal to take Esty's opinion into account like a partnership. Dane treats her like she's a follower. But what did Esty really expect, though? This is exactly what Kiki tried to warn her about, but she was too busy trying to check Kiki and not Dane on the subject. Now the young bloods see they've been played by 2 men out of the 4. But once again, outing the men's alliance is not going to happen. Dane in the background is joking around with all the guys upstairs as the women are whispering to themselves on the couch. And as clear as day, Dane wants Mark to stay. He wants Mark to stay. The young bloods are even getting annoyed by listening to them laughing around them. As Kiki and Esty are whispering to each other, getting a little emotional about how unlucky they are in this game, Dane walks up and tells them they both look weak right now. What? I was shocked he did this, y'all, because I'm thinking, Dane, your head needs to stay in the game, and you need to give Esty her time to mourn her friend leaving, okay? This is only the person she's been around every fucking day of the game since before she was working with you. For you to tell her she's looking weak right now, it's like, damn, bro, what you expect them to be? Fucking mannequins or something? You feel me? These is human beings. Now, this happens around 10:30 a.m. Canada time on camera 1 today. I don't know if Dane understands how bad he looks saying this to Esty on the day her best friend is leaving, but this only further backs up my argument on why Esty should have withheld information from Dane over the past couple of weeks. The only reason why Dane isn't feeling the same way is because he don't give a fuck about none of y'all. Period. He cares about the men. Esty goes into the storage room to make coffee and slop shakes for Kiki. Dane is there. Dane tells her he's only trying to help them out by telling them to stop looking like they're crying. Dane also tells them the house perceives them as weak too. But he says this to Esty with such an attitude in the storage room. Hell, he had an ice tray in his hand and he like dropped that shit on the counter like he was frustrated or something. Like, it was crazy, coach. It was crazy, okay? Okay, these 2 scenes back to back all but solidified my reasoning for blaming Esty for Kiki's game going so bad. Esty just got done telling Kiki she doesn't want to be his follower, and then just took orders from Dane less than 5 minutes later like a follower would. Esty knows she can't afford to piss off Dane because Kiki is already done for. So now Esty is back to being in a forced showmance to last longer in the game. In hindsight, should Kiki have stuck it out for that blood veto? Yes. But Esty did so much stuff to hurt Kiki's game that Kiki didn't know about before the blood veto situation happened, meaning if Esty was less forthcoming with Dane and more with Kiki, maybe Kiki goes balls to the wall for that blood veto because she's aware of more information. This duo failed because they allowed the house to perceive them as Dane's numbers and refused to pivot away from him or create separation from each other to hide the fact that they were an inseparable duo. Now let's continue. If Dane truly cared about Esty or Kiki, he would like the fact they are appearing weak because in theory, that should increase the likelihood of Kiki either being saved by blood veto or Kiki staying over Mark. But since Dane is with the men, it makes sense he would be mad about his fake allies appearing weak. The weaker they appear, the harder it is to push the narrative that Kiki is strong. Also, with Kiki being on crutches, how else was she supposed to have a private conversation with Esty, Dane? The idea that them being secluded and having one last chat before Kiki probably leaves the game being labeled weak is ludicrous to me, if I'm being honest. They've exhausted all other forms of campaigning. I just don't see how someone on crutches can look any weaker than they already are. And why is it a bad thing for women to appear weak, but Mark can do it all week and have people want to keep him for being weak? Y'all see what I'm doing here? If Dane had his head still in a game and less of his head on the blood veto, he would know Esty appearing weaker before Kiki leaves is better for his showman's gameplay. But he's so worried about his own game because of the blood veto, he doesn't approve of Esty doing anything without his cosign. If Esty doesn't turn on Dane next week, she will only be showing everyone she learned nothing from Kiki's departure. Dane threw up Kyra twice and tried to backdoor Sam. He was the one who made Sam want to target his side. So for him to now take no accountability for the situation he put both of these women in, but then call them weak for how they carry it, I found to be condescending and weak to come from a man. As they are all finishing breakfast, production calls everyone early to the living room, and that's when feeds cut for the rest of the day. If I had to guess, the blood veto will be played because of how early in the day production wanted everyone together, but we'll see. Now let's get to Thursday's episode. This is the last thing I will cover. I pretty much covered most of Thursday's episode in the feeds, but these are some things that I peep game on. The blood veto has the power to wait until after votes are read and send the other player home. The directions clearly said it's only valid this week, so why wouldn't Kyra use it? The idea of choosing Mark to stay over Kiki is so stupid for Kyra's game, but it does explain why they didn't use it. It never gave them the chance to backdoor Dane. Anthony's gameplay, no doubt, is the only reason why Kyra didn't use the power. But did you all notice how Esty jumped on Kyra and wrapped her legs around her? That's more of Esty blowing up the spot for Kiki, who was on the block. But to be fair, both the young bloods spent way too much time on that bed laughing the day away after the veto ceremony. They both were way too comfortable, ladies and gentlemen. They finally gave Corey and Anthony their montage in the edit. Looks like production is finally jumping on the Anthony train with Kiki on her way out. I think they would want Corey to replace Kiki as the likable girl in the game. But I just don't get why they left out the backdoor Corey strategy from earlier in the week. It would have made Corey more likable, and it would have made more sense out of why Kyra didn't want to save Kiki to the live audience. Wednesday's episode suggested Kyra would do whatever it takes to send the guy home. So in my opinion, production is sending mixed signals that would force the crowd to react negatively to Kyra not saving Kiki. Why call it a blood veto in the first place if you can choose not to use it? See, that's my number one question. Why call it a blood veto if you can choose not to have the blood on you? Then it's just a fucking veto. Like it's just a fucking veto then. There's nothing bloody about it, coach. It's nothing bloody. Now, why hype up this twist for so long and mislead people in the edit? Mark is on the block, but he's probably had the least TV time all week. How are we supposed to be invested in these players when the outcome is predictable based off which nominee isn't getting as much TV time? And why give us so many scenes of Kyra wanting to make a big move or wanting a guy to go home if they are just going to pull a Chelsea at the last second? These questions need to be answered. These are the questions of a frustrated superfan of the game. Why make a twist be all about the house agreeing on who gets it when you knew the house would agree on someone the majority alliance were comfortable with? That's the same shit as allowing the majority alliance to cheat in competitions. I'd argue every twist so far has only benefited the majority alliance. Corey coming in and being safe for a week saved Kyra. Damien's twist led to him watching footage of information that wasn't game related of Sam and Mark, which protected them and kept Damien in a position to need Anthony. The bed did nothing to help Kiki's game. In fact, I think it made Anthony more focused on keeping Kyra from helping Kiki or Esty. When you break it down, this season was built to make sure the majority alliance couldn't be stopped. Facts. Kiki threw Dane under the bus during her speech. Now I'm interested to see who tipped her off to Dane's betrayal. And did what happened this morning play a role in this speech? Also, why wouldn't Kyra save Kiki after she threw Dane under the bus? Did Kyra think this was a plan by Dane, Esty, and Kiki to save Kiki? If so, Dane wouldn't have voted her out to make it 6-1, 5-1. The non-binary blindsider had their moment to become a Big Brother Canada legend tonight. And they said, nah, B, I'm cool. I think the game I'm playing will suffice. That's basically what Kyra said tonight, coach. They said, fuck that legendary shit. I'll just be a role player. That's what you did, Kyra. That's what you did, coach. You passed up the shot. You passed up the shot. And that's the sad part, man. You've been asked. You were the person the night before Blood Veto, the competition happened. You was the person in that room promising the cameras this was meant for you to help your game, to do this. You were the one talking all that hot shit. You get the shit. Then you have the moment to make the move, to make everyone reinvest into the season. And you say, nah, coach, I like the course we're going down right now. Nah, I like driving on cruise control down the expressway. That's what you said to us. You said, let's go autopilot. And that's the true shame out of all of this, man. This isn't Mike Boogie choosing not to use his coup d'etat because Mike was in a power position and knew Chicken George would sell Howie out. This isn't that. This is a player who could have kept. This is a player who kept talking about loving chaos, shriveling up under pressure when it was time to prove their chaos worth, their chaotic worth, okay? Mackey would have used this power. Hell, I think even Chelsea the coward would have used this power. This is a damn shame, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm ready to answer questions. Thanos is ready. I'm on my way to the live chat. I can't wait to hear y'all thoughts, coach. All right? I can't wait to hear y'all thoughts. Because I've kept it all the way a buck tonight. I've kept it all the way a buck. No lies detected. Damn. Oh, I still got it on Bluetooth. That's why. I was wondering, like, damn, why did it sound like? That was some surround sound. I heard myself. All right, there it is. Now I can hear. All right, bet. All right, let's get to these questions, coach. All right, we got a question. What's good, Ghost? What's good, coach? Rod asked the question. Dave, honestly, do you think the reason Kyra didn't say Kiki is because Kiki didn't want to showmance with her? Do you agree? You know what? There's something to that, because if you really break it down, the non-binary blindsider seems to have personal problems with the only other two members of the LGBT community on this cast. Eddie was like Kyra's arch nemesis. And then when you add Kiki to the mix, who never got along with Kyra, but they tried to get on the same page because they needed to go against the men. I'm not willing to say that Kyra is one of those players where, oh, if you're not with me, then I'm not going to save you. But at the end, because at the end of the day, yeah, I just don't think so. I think Kyra is too focused on playing Anthony's game. I think Kyra loves positive reinforcements. They love compliments from people. I think the moment Anthony told Kyra they were the second smartest player in the game, Anthony had them hook, line, and sinker. I think that was the moment where Kyra basically said, you know what? I like the game you're playing, because that was the moment where she straight up told Anthony she thought he was playing the best game in the house. So if you think he's playing the best game in the house, you're going to do everything you can to please him. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't think it's necessarily about her not getting the showman she wanted, because I truly believe she preferred Chelsea over Kiki the entire time. I think at the end of the day, though, Kyra wanted to be the only LGBT member on jury to get all of the support from that community. There we go. That sounds more like the personality we're dealing with this player. Because, I mean, the motivations behind some of the moves they do make and the moves they don't make sense. They aren't consistent, but they're all based around they want attention. You get where I'm coming from? So that's my answer to that question. Like, that's my answer. Okay, that one fanatic shipper asked the question, does Damian have any chance to win? I like him, but his path to win looks so far away. Honestly, the only way Damian could win this, by the way, shout outs to you, because that is a new name. If you are a new viewer, welcome to Recency Bias Radio. Welcome to the family. At the end of the day, I think Damian's best chance to win this game is probably sitting next to Corey. Because I think all the men would vote for a guy to win, okay? Just off GP, okay? I think all the men would. Okay, all right, I got you, Selena. All right, we could definitely do that, Drew. I'm looking at the comments right now. We could definitely do that, Drew. Anytime, bro. You know I rocks with you. You feel it, dig me, coach. Cam asked the question. Cam6996 asked the question, what would need to happen this week to change your opinion of the season? By the way, keep me updated if feeds come back on who's HOH, yada, yada, yada. I mean, what we would need this week, okay, we need someone who's willing to make a big move. So we have to really rely on Esty. Oh my. At this point, if Damian wins, he's just going to do what Anthony wants, which involves targeting Sam and Adam. And at this point, I don't think Sam and Adam need to be the next people targeted. I think the people that need to be targeted next are the people who are winning the game to make them have to turn on each other. I think and see, that's the thing, though. I don't think Esty has the heart to win HOH. All right, first off, even though this HOH is built for her to win, I don't think she has the heart to win it, then push Dane away, do everything she wants to do because she's going to be secluded in that room. Who's going to go in there to visit her? There's no Kiki. She's going to feel alone, right? So what move does she make to try to work herself back into the good graces? Does she say, you know what? I understand Kyra didn't save my partner, but my best move is still to work with Sam and Kyra? I mean, I feel like they would have to buy the bullshit from her if she doesn't nominate them when she's HOH, because everyone talks about, oh, we want to see proof that you're willing to live up to your promises. Well, the only way she can live up to her promises is if she has any power, right? But at the same time, though, I just don't think Esty's about that life. But I don't think I fully answered it. The way, but yeah, so Damian wins next to Corey, and then next week, honestly, I would like to see Corey win. But the only reason why I would like to see Corey win is because no, she probably goes after Sam and Adam too, right? No. I think Corey would take the shot at Dane, though. See, that's the thing, Anthony. See, we would need someone who wins HOH that ain't up Anthony's ass, and that's only Esty at this point. And I'm not saying that because I want Anthony gone. I'm saying that because I don't want Anthony to control the knobs, right? But yeah, I mean, we don't really have a choice. And see, this is why I mentioned on Twitter, like, there are no underdogs that are likable anymore because of all the mistakes that the underdogs have made. Like I said, these motherfuckers made the Foul Tay. They made Foul Tay look like Chilltown. I mean, this was looking pathetic, man. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. But at the end of the day, we need a guy to go home to change my opinion. And I think y'all agree. Any guy not named Damian. We need a guy to go home not named Damian. That's the only way it's going to change anybody's perspective on this season. One guy has to go. Like, someone got to go. All right, Corey won HOH. Oh, okay. All right. Well, this is worrisome, though, because Corey winning it, all right, she knows who was part of the backdoor Corey brigade. Now, the question is, who throws who under the bus the quickest? Now, we know Dane was involved in this. We know Sam Sam wasn't really Sam dodges a bullet here because Corey legit believes Sam wasn't part of this because Kyra has been snowing Corey to a degree to not believe Sam was part of this. But Anthony is going to be pushing for Sam to go. So this is the moment where we're going to be able to see, is Corey playing Anthony's game or is she playing her own game? Because if she's playing her own game, the play is to get out Dane now. That's the play. Put up Dane next to Anna. Put Dane next to Adam and say, let's get it popping, coach. Any of y'all win? All right, cool. Mark can go up. Whoever's next to Mark going to go anyway. That's the play. I think Corey is the one person who's confident in her own competition prowess to make this move before all the other women. And see, this is why I defended Corey for so long. I saw this potential in her as more people started dropping like flies. When Kaylin left, I honestly looked at Corey and went, you really the only motherfucker that, I mean, I hate to say motherfucker. Let me take it back. You're really the only player in this game that really deserves this twist that Damian got. And that's why I told people the savvy super fan would vote for Corey. Because at the end of the day, she's the last hope. She's the last of the Mohicans, coach. I'm being honest with y'all. If Corey can't pull it off, nobody can pull it off to send a guy home. And that's just what it is. You know, I'm talking from the women's perspective. Because Sam, she's too busy dealing with the Adam misdirections, right? Esty, yeah, she might target men, but I don't know. Right? We just don't know. I could see her be like, Kyra, you didn't save my friend, and because you didn't save her, I'm throwing you up, and I'm throwing you up next to Sam. And then it's like, oh, Esty, what the fuck? And, and see, that sounds like an Esty move, right? Okay, but it's good to see that Corey's HOH, though. It's good to see that, though, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see. All right, let me get back to questions. Let me scroll up to the top to make sure I didn't miss nothing. Let me see. What's wrong with Timon and Pumbaa? They were lit as shit. You funny as hell, BMG. She couldn't get a Christmas Rousey. Oh, you fooling right now. Y'all fooling on the Christmas Rousey side of the game. Chelsea did throw Kyra under the bus, though. You're right. Chelsea did throw Kyra under the bus. But at the same time, though, at the beginning of this week, Kyra was the one who tried to push for Mark to go up because of how he disrespected Chelsea. Now, Esty mistakenly took credit for it in front of Anthony, which told Kyra she can't trust Esty, which started all of this snowball effect. Okay, but at the end of the day, though, I still believe Kyra was 100% okay with Mark leaving until she saw these inconsistencies in the Youngbloods gameplay. You know, she didn't want to stick her neck out for players that would just turn on her in the drop of a dime. You know, for really though. Yeah, you didn't really miss much, Coach. I agree. There's still a small glimmer of hope with Corey. I agree, Budgie. I agree wholeheartedly, and that's why I rock with Corey. Corey, for real, you listen, Coach. You can do this. You on the? I'm gonna call her Corey Rant. I mean, hold on, that's the wrong person. No, I'm thinking of Ray. I'm thinking of Ray from Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? She's Corey Rant, Coach. She the last of the Jedi. All right, we need you to get it done, Coach. All right, get it done. And I like the fact she's cool with Anthony too. That gives her some points too. But someone mentioned in a live chat that this feeling like some Christine BB16 shit. Y'all need to chill. All right, we've already decided that Esty was on that Christine shit. Let's chill out, man. We ain't trying to ruin no marriages or nothing. People out here tripping right now. Hey man, some of them live chats be lit as fuck, Coach. They be lit as fuck. All right. I think I've already answered those questions. It seems like gay players always get these exceptions. Remember, yeah, you're right about that, Marlena. But I'd argue that's the way life is, right? I mean, I'm not trying to get too political, but at the end of the day, I mean, you see what's going on, man. If you're gay, you can beat a case. If you're straight and black, they're gonna throw you away with the key. They're gonna lock you away with the key. You see what I'm saying? Now let's keep it moving. Had to sneak that woke shit in real quick. Okay, DMV426 asked the question, what does Anthony need to do to increase his chance of winning this season, ladies and gentlemen? I think Anthony needs to do what he's doing. I think he needs to go to the end with Corey. I think he needs to make sure Corey is the one getting all the blood on her hands. I think Anthony needs to be very smart with how he throws competitions, but he does need to win some, okay? Because if he gives Corey the idea that he isn't holding his side of the deal, Corey could become as frustrated as Adam is becoming with Mark and Anthony combined. And that's what he doesn't need. Also, he needs to be very careful because Damian and Corey are closer than he will ever be with Corey. All right. Right now, Corey is close to him because she sees where the power is at the end of the day. And she sees that their game plays are very cohesive and can work together, have good chemistry. All right. But at the same time, though, I think Corey knows she has a higher chance of beating. Well, that's the thing. Would Corey think she had a higher chance of beating Damian over Anthony because Damian would be perceived as a guy who didn't really play the game? I'm not sure. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back. My bad on that, ladies and gentlemen. I was like, dang, what the hell is that sound, Coach? All right, we back. We back like we never left, Coach. I ain't never dipped out on y'all like that. That was clean. All right, so I forgot what we was talking about exactly, but at the end of the day, yeah, like Anthony's best chance of winning the game. I believe that was the question. I still believe his best chance of winning this season is doing what he's doing. He wants to get to the end with people he can trust. And he wants to be able to reveal his game at the right moment to get credit for winning. And the thing is, he doesn't need to be at the end with a comp beast. Hell, Anthony might perceive Damian as the perfect person to take to the end. But see, that's the thing, Anthony. If you're talking all this hot shit behind everyone's back, right? And then let's say you backstab these people to get to the end. They're going to go to sequester. They're going to tell these people the negative things you said about all of them behind their backs. That could lead to bad jury management by proxy. You feel it, dig me? And that's the last thing Anthony needs. That's the last thing he needs. So in my opinion, he's already perceived to be working with Corey. He can't really afford to turn on her. You lose Corey's vote, she could go ahead and just pollute the entire jury with the shit she could say about you. So in Anthony's case, he's got to go to the end with Corey. Now the question is his best play to go with Corey and Dane or go with Corey and Damian? That's tough because I think from a jury management perspective, Dane might be playing a game that involves way too many lies, way too many broken oaths, way too many broken promises. I think he's playing a game that's a little bit too dirty in a way, right? And I think Anthony might be able to get away with some of the dirt he's been using because of Dane's crazy dirt. And that's the thing. Does Anthony value someone who's played dirtier than he has? That way he can be the good player that wasn't as dirty? Or does he just completely co-sign? Well, not co-sign. He completely bathes in the blood, if you will, and he fully owns his game, and then he takes someone to the end with them that even though they could be likable, they don't really have any merit to truly deserve the win based off their own gameplay. I think that's a tough decision. Because I always say a strategist, the best person a strategist should take to the end is someone who wins comps and doesn't strategize. Because you can always argue that what they did took less skill than what you did, because what you did put them in the position to only have to focus on winning comps. Whereas the person who won comps, they can't really argue that them winning, even if they won every other week, they can't argue that your strategy somehow was so affected by them winning every other week. Because at the end of the day, when they didn't have power, you still had to utilize your strategy and show how good you were. Whereas if they don't have great strategy, then the weeks that they don't have power, they don't really have much of an argument because they're already claiming that the comps are the main point of their argument. So at the end of the day, I think Anthony is better off being at the end with Corey. And if he's not at the end with Corey, he's better off being at the end with Dane. Be at the end with someone who's a comp beast, okay? And be at the end with someone that you can take credit for the moves that kept them from being targeted. And at the end of the day, he has protected Dane and he has protected Corey so far. So I think Anthony has a point on both fronts. Okay, Monique Williams asked the question, who do you think is Anthony's biggest problem? Easily, his biggest problem, immediately, his biggest problem is Sam. Immediately, that's his biggest problem. After Sam, probably Esty. After Esty, probably Mark. After Mark, I'd probably go Adam. After Adam, I'd probably go Damian. Yeah, I'll probably go in that order. Those are his 5 biggest threats in order. And that's why I expect him to try to push Corey. Get out Sam. She wanted you out. But of course, Corey's argument is going to be, yeah, but Adam didn't go through with using the veto. So something tells me she wasn't okay with doing that plan, blah, 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 blah. And that's going to be up to Anthony now. Do you create a huge lie that you have to rely on Corey not fact-checking? Or do you continue to play it smooth and just believe that your steady gameplay, your steady pace of gameplay will get you over the line? That's going to be key. That's going to be key. But that's why this week, now that Corey has won it, I mean, at the end of the day, this was really the only outcome anyone could see coming once they saw that comp. I mean, no one really expected ST to last that long. Yeah, it don't matter how much yoga you do, coach. It ain't no way you're going to beat Corey in that comp. You can call it a day. You know, and see, I could see a scenario where Corey throws up Esty and she throws up because throwing up Esty is just an easy move now that Kiki's gone. And see, I can't see her throwing up Kyra because Kyra, they're establishing a relationship and they're both underneath the Anthony umbrella. I mean, she really has to throw up Esty next to, it really has to be Esty and Sam. I really don't see any other outcome here. Even though I would love for Corey to be the person to nominate 2 guys, I just think the way the season's going, we now have to have the expectation that are so low that all they can do is impress us now. We cannot expect good things anymore because we're just going to be let down and we're going to be here each Thursday night complaining. I mean, it's just going to be what it is, coach. Just being honest. But yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, CM. Falte is no longer the worst. You know, I didn't think they were that bad before. I just think at the end of the day, Rachel did some things that fucked up the jury phase. The hacker twist came in, overpowered twist to lifeguard Jesus. Before you know it, it just ain't, you know, kind of like this season. You know, you give one majority alliance enough Teflon within the confines of the game, and they're not going to take no L's, coach. They're not. It's really just that simple. Esty would do just that. Yep. See, Selena, you know what I'm talking about. Who are my faves from Fnatic Shipper? My faves, from a strictly gameplay perspective, I'd say my favorite player is Anthony. From an entertainment value perspective, I'd say my favorite player is probably Dane. From a who am I just rooting for just because I'm an underdog kind of guy, it's Corey, right? And of course I like Damian, but at the end of the day, Damian doesn't get you many hot takes during feeds. He doesn't get you many quotables during feeds, right? He's that consistent good guy, which is great, but he also doesn't provide too much for what we want on feeds either. Right? He's almost so much of a good guy. He never compromises himself to say anything racy. Nothing. He doesn't say any jokes that aren't dry. You know what I'm saying? He plays it very safe, which is why we like him. But once again, it's also why he's not really like popping on my screen. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's my answer to that shit. Yeah, that shit crazy. Let's break down the room's choices. LOL. No problem, DMV. I got your back, homie. Selena says Anthony will probably have to win at the very end to make final two, like Paris did, unless Corey is in final three. And see, that's what I'm saying. Anthony has to stay close to her. You know what I'm saying? Ghost asked the question, who do you think in the PB Alliance will go to make things harder for the PB Alliance? I expect Dane to be the first one to go. I mean, all signs of this edit is pointing towards Dane going. I think Corey is probably going to throw up Sam next to Esty, but I think her long-term plan is going to be to backdoor Dane. But see, I've seen Corey on feeds mention to Kyra that the play needs to be throwing up Dane and Adam, forcing one of them to have to win veto, and then just replacing one of them with Mark. So I'm hoping some of the stuff I heard on feeds wasn't just bullshit. I'm hoping she actually means the stuff she was saying in front of Kyra. But once again, a lot of these Anthony spies, right? A lot of these people are aware of each other's role in the spy shack, and because of it, they bullshit with each other. It's like the Spider-Man meme where they're the same person, they just pointing at each other. It's like that. No one wants to appear like they ain't playing Anthony's game because they're all terrified of the clapback. You feel me? Terrified of that clapback. You feel it, Demi? I wonder who are the have-nots. I was thinking right off rip, Anthony's big ass wouldn't last long at all, and he would definitely be a have-not. LOL. And I'm not sure on that. Y'all know me. I ain't watching feeds yet. I think Anthony fell first. He is a have-not now. Damn. Oh, it's going to be litty. It's going to be litty. And that's another dumb thing. Why did Kiki, Esty, and Dane elect to all be have-nots together? Don't they know how suspicious that shit looks? Like, I didn't mention that yet, but that was another misplay. There was a lot of misplay. And see, they volunteered for that shit together. Like, we can do it. And see, that's the problem. You never separate from one another. You got to sleep next to each other all the time. What happened to the Esty who was so sure she had to sleep in a separate room because Mark and Sam created a rumor that they were discussing the game late at night? What happened to that Esty? Now all of a sudden, it's, you know what? Let's all be have-nots together too. Let's all have slob shakes, coach. It's like, wait, what? So that's another example of how Esty's gameplay ain't matching her motivations. Like, I'm just not following it, man. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Damian and Kyra are have-nots. Okay. It's crazy that they volunteered together like that. Yeah, DMV, it didn't make any sense. Devin Bates asked the question, can you see Anthony getting to the end, and in which scenario? I pretty much answered that earlier, Devin Bates. He needs Corey, but he also needs a mixture of either Dane with him at the end or Damian. If he can get Dane or Damian to be okay with going to the end with him and Corey, he wins. Hell, he could even get Kyra to be okay with going to the end with him and Corey. I just think that would be the harder road to take because at the end of the day, that would rely more on Anthony to win some comps to cover Corey's back. I don't really expect Kyra to win out towards the end. So that would be someone you would drag to the end, assuming they're a GOAT. So especially after not using the twist tonight, Kyra has huge GOAT upside now. Everyone will look at her as the person who had the chance to change the game that didn't, so they don't deserve to win, which might be Kyra's long con to make it to the end. So we'll never know. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 11th rant of Big Brother Canada 7, entitled Luck and Loyalty. I am your humble host, Dave Smith, and this is Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism, ladies and gentlemen. I've got you guys perfectly prepared for what we will experience on Sunday's episode, what we will see on the live feeds over this next weekend. Thank you to everyone who's came through to watch this live or on demand. I truly appreciate it. If you could, please like, share, and subscribe. And on the right side of my channel's page, click on that bell. That way you could be here with the most lit live chat in Big Brother Canada history, bar none, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully Corey does what needs to be done. But at the end of the day, We've been let down so much here as super fans. Shoot, a lot of fans have given up on the season, which is a gift and a curse, I must admit, because the curse side of it, of course, is less people watching. But the gift part of it is the only people left that are still watching are the real diehard fans. So you get to have some real dialogue between fans that really care about the game. And even though they're disappointed in it, it's good to see who the real diehards are that are willing to stick around and still watch despite not being happy with outcomes. It's really weeding out the casuals from the super fans. And I'm actually liking some of this dialogue happening between the super fans. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I wanted to say. This has been Luck and Loyalty. I will see you all on Sunday. Y'all have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful day of work tomorrow. Deuces.